All right, we're alone. But
Cav Scouts are gay infantry.
Yeah.
Okay, like I knew that there was a rivalry there. I just didn't know what it, who it was with, or what it was about.
Yeah, we always gave Cav Scouts shit. I mean, in the end, like they're good guys, but like
Yeah, of
their
course.
job is to break contact. Ours is to make it. That's what we would always say. And so, like, but no, that literally is the truth because the scouts, they're not. They usually rolled very light, and they would go up. And their job is to literally look for other enemy positions, vehicles, types, and then go report back and say this is the amount of people you need and the amount of equipment you need to send out there to fuck this shit up.
So, if I have the verbiage right, they would advance to contact, see what was out there, and then run the hell back and report.
They're scouts. They're literally just they're the same thing that Cav scouts have been in the past. They just have vehicles now, or they just go on foot.
Okay.
So, yeah, but it's the same exact concept of like, that's where they're at. This is how many are out there. This is what they've got. So this is what we can see. And then they go back and they tell whomever.
Either way, they're still gay as AIDS.
Oh, yeah. Because, yeah, they always say if you ain't Cav, you ain't shit. And we're like, well, I'd rather not
be neither.
Right. I'd rather not be gay. I mean, that's fine with me. So
to answer the question that Mike posed, would you rather tell your dad that you're gay or that you joined the Cav Scouts? Telling your dad that you're gay is less gay than joining the Cav Scouts.
Yes, I would 100%. There's gonna be at least one. There's gonna be at least one Cav Scout in the comments. Who's gonna fuck him. My cousin who I'm pretty close with. He joined like military. He joined when he was like 36, and so he's a Cav Scout. I always gave him shit.
Wait, is this one of those? No, I'm not racist. My cousin's a Cav Scout.
Oh no, I don't like Cav Scouts. I'll still give them.
Infantry and Cav Scouts get along only slightly better than infantry and MPs.
Yeah,
and only because Cav Scouts are at least combat arms.
Okay.
So I'll put it to you this way too: is like. When I was in basic at Benning in 08, we had, I think, because we had reservists going in and out, but our regular drills, we had like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, I believe around 10 of them. And of that, all of them had a blue disc behind their...
You see the comment in chat?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly it. So out of that many drill sergeants for like the surge, we had like every single drill had a blue disc. They were infantry, except one who did not, but he was a Cav Scout. That guy was a mean son of a bitch. So yes, we can play nice in the sandbox together when we need to.
Yeah.
But
when somebody else is shooting at us, we'll play nice.
Yeah. But
as soon as the bullets stop, the insults start.
Yeah, the Cav and the infantry is like the oldest bullshit I think, or within the army itself is like, oh fuck you, you ride on horses, you get to do this, you get to do that.
There were rivalries like that in the Coast Guard, but not as well known, obviously.
Right.
So Andy told me what like every unit patch has the joke of what it means. Like 4th Infantry is 4 lieutenants pointing north.
Okay.
Augie doesn't know what the 4ID patch looks like.
It's not. It doesn't.
I know
really
the
matter.
unit.
But Andy told me. Andy's a friend of mine. That Mike. You haven't actually met him in person, have you, Mike?
Not in person yet.
Not in person, but so Andy's a friend of mine who I met when I was going to school and going to college after second deployment. He was 4ID, but he was also a tanker, so he's like, kind of Cav, but not.
Well, technically, it's armored Cav, and
but tankers don't they leave the Cav part off. They just say we're armor.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So he was telling me what the 1st Cavalry Division's patch means.
Oh.
You know what the 1st Cav Division patch looks like, Augie? It's the big shield with the horse head on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what he said was, the horse that was never ridden over the river that was never crossed, and yellow is the reason why.
Oh. Damn.
Wow.
Because
I've never heard that one. That was fucking brutal.
it's got the horse head on it, and then it's got the big black stripe across,
Yeah.
diagonally
Yeah.
across it. That's the river,
Yeah.
and yellow is the reason why.
It is an obnoxious patch.
It's so fucking big.
It's huge.
Fucking thing. It hung off the bottom of the ACU pocket. It was so
Right.
fucking big. They couldn't even downscale it so it would fit.
It's like, the second ID, the Indian head patch, that's a fucking huge patch as well. But at least
Yes,
that
but it
fit.
still fit on the pocket. No, the first captive patch, that thing hung off the bottom of the ACU Velcro by like a full 2 inches.
There was always like grass and shit and dirt and shit on them. It's so funny. No, not yellow as in cowering. It's yellow is the color of the cavalry. And
Yeah, Andrew. They painted on everything.
oh god, everything. It's
I
like
think I knew that.
I
think
swear to
knew that from
God,
some Civil War documentary or something.
I swear to God, the first cav div has to paint their fucking unit patch on their own ass cheeks.
well, I mean, to be fair, so did our National Guard unit. So
We used to
My
tag
shoulder is
other
not an
cutters.
ass cheek.
We'd tag other ships with nothing official, but we'd make not suitable for work emblems of our cutter. Like my first cutter was Escanaba, so we were the knob. So we had the in like a circular thing, and then knob is like a big dick underneath it. And so we had a stencil of it. And so whenever we were near other cutters, we'd run over and try to spray paint it on their hull.
That's actually funny.
Yeah. And other cutters would try to get us.
But
Augie, have you met Brett?
Escanaba is actually a really cool fucking city. I've been there. I don't know how many times.
Who gives a fuck?
Right after
The Ubers that live there.
No, I was just gonna ask if Augie has met Brett because I can't remember, and it just kind of registered.
I don't think
Oh.
so.
No, I don't. You look familiar. I think you popped up on my Facebook when I friended the idiot in the top there.
Which one? That one?
You.
Oh, this one.
I don't know which way. You're above me.
Yeah, and Mike's over there.
Yeah. So yeah, Brett. Augie was coastie, and now he's a merchant marine guy, and then Augie Brett is a logistics officer currently in the Army. So
Nice.
Yep.
No, Coast Guard's cool.
well, fuck yeah.
Everybody
Coast
loves the
Guard,
Coast Guard.
like for a lot of like you want to piss off some army types, it's the Coast Guard are the ones giving and taking fire a lot more than the Army is.
That's what we've
Around
had
the
this
clock
conversation.
most days a week.
Well, no, we've had this conversation before when Augie was
Yeah.
on, and like
Coast
'cause-
Guard's going out
yeah.
there lighting people up all the time. You don't really hear about it, but they're.
We did a few.
Although
I
you
have
should
a,
go back to the Treasury Department. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I'm okay with them being DOD.
Yeah.
Well, at DOD, we wouldn't. If we were DOD, we wouldn't be able to do a lot of our international missions because we can go into Colombian waters, Ecuadorian waters, and start chasing people. If we were DOD, it would be that would be an issue.
I had a
Brett
book
just
idea.
wants Brett just wants the ships to be renamed revenue cutters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I had a
tradition-
book
tradition and
idea.
all.
I was going to write a novel about the revenue cutter service, and I think, man, I can make this a series. No, because it's like no one knows about it. It's the predecessor of the Coast Guard,
Well,
and some of these revenue
Quasi-War,
cutters.
1798, I want to say, the
Yeah.
Quasi War with France.
Oh, I
and
would
Caribbean.
have done it pre-Spanish American War. So it would be like 1893, 1895.
Oh, okay.
And the revenue cutter service was like there's the rebellion going on in Cuba against Spain. The Cubans are rising up, and the rebels are sending agents to America to buy guns, and then they're trying to sneak the guns into Cuba. And then the revenue cutter service is officially trying to stop that because it's illegal. It's illegal exporting of weapons to rebels against Spain, and we weren't at war with them yet. But we secretly wanted Cuba to rebel against Spain. So just a great like background context for a book. And then the revenue cutter service, um, the only fatality in the Battle of Manila Bay was a
Yes.
revenue cutter service seaman on board the revenue cutter McCullough that he had a heart attack in
Yeah,
in the middle of the
bringing
battle.
back
Yeah.
you're bringing back Cutterman board stuff. So in the Coast Guard, if you have, in modern day, if you have 5 years sea service, you're what's called a permanent Cutterman, and there's a pin that's a sign that you wear on your dress uniform. After 6 months, and if you're fully qualified, you can be a temporary Cutterman. But if you make it 5 years, that means you've been on multiple cutters for multiple, deployments. But tradition is that you have a Cutterman's board, and every other permanent Cutterman on board is basically judging to see if you have the requisite knowledge. And what it's turned into is kind of a very informal kind of an initiation. Like my Cutterman's board was in Panama City at a bar across from the Hard Rock Cafe, and it's one of those name the original revenue cutters. Who's the father of the service? When did we officially become the Coast Guard? And then it just, the more you drink, the more hilarious it becomes. But it's just people just firing off questions, and one of them is who was the only casualty in Manila Bay?
Yeah, that revenue cutter, it ended up sinking right off the coast of where I used to live in California. It collided in the fog, which was not far from where those
Honda Point.
5 Navy destroyers ended up grounding themselves in the fog too in the 20s, not far from there.
Yeah, the Honda Point disaster.
The
it was an entire
McCullough
squadron, and they were brand new destroyers too.
Yeah. Oh, that was a disaster. But that revenue cutter McCullough, it's goes around to enforce and collect revenue for the United States. It had torpedo tubes. It's like pay your tariffs or we're going to torpedo you.
See, that was back in the day when if we wanted to, the four of us could get a private warship. And
so if I ever win like a super lottery, like $1 billion, something like the California lottery, where it's like $1 billion. So after taxes, I'm sitting on a cool 700 mil. I am buying the USS Olympia, which is still afloat. It's the oldest floating steel-hulled warship left.
Isn't that?
I think it's here in Philadelphia. Yeah, and it's fallen kind of on hard times. Like
it's in Philadelphia. It's right across the river from New Jersey.
But I would buy it and restore it completely from keel up. Full restoration, steam engine, everything. The guns, of course, everything perfectly restored. Mahogany paneling in Admiral Dewey's cabin, of course. And then I would put an ad in the paper or on Facebook or whatever, like crew members wanted. And I would just pay them. And I'd go buy a bunch of coal and I would steam that thing to Somalia and hunt pirates in it.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll be a 240 gunner for you.
There we go. Well, I don't know I think they had 5-inch or 8-inch guns.
No, I want it to be more personal. I want the 240.
Technically speaking,
how about a Gatling gun?
No,
if 240. You can get a ocean-going vessel under 1,600 gross registered tons, I am qualified to be a captain in all conditions.
We've got our basic crew here.
So
I'll be the class destroyer is less than 1,600 tons.
Yeah, I mean there are some Coast Guard cutters that you could probably buy. We don't have the crews for them, so why not?
Kind of heart set on the Olympia, though.
Well, you got to
but if we could get our hands on a Fletcher class destroyer, though, those are faster.
I would compromise. I would take.
Now, here's the thing, Brett. I have we got so many drug interceptions in one patrol that I made myself a throne out of all the cocaine bricks on the fantail of the cutter, and I smoked at the time. I'd sit out there in the mornings and smoke my cigarette and drink my coffee on my cocaine throne.
Was that before or after you got sprayed by cocaine in the face?
Both. Yeah. Accidental exposure, pure cocaine. I didn't sleep for 3 days.
I told you, Augie, that my buddy was in the Navy, who was doing the same shit down in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
In the early 2000s, had a very similar experience where he was like, "Yeah, we were fucked for like 5 days," and the corpsmen were just like, "We don't know what to do. You're just going to ride it out, drink water.
Whatever you do, don't have caffeine."
Right. Like, your heart will explode. Yeah.
But I'm saying, just get a shit boat. We start doing that. We do the drug intercepts. We sell the cocaine to the government to destroy or redistribute, whatever the CIA is doing this week.
Yeah.
And we build up, and then we can just buy the Olympia afterwards.
Okay,
that's
so
not
a
a
good
bad
plan.
And
we could get practice too.
Right.
Yeah, good
we
idea.
could determine like who's on the team and who's not.
Yeah, and then we could put the 240 on the destroyer. I'd be fine with that. But the Olympia,
give me a 240 with 500,000 rounds minimum, and I'll do the work for you.
Yeah, well, the Olympia would have to be completely 1898 everything. Like,
if we end up getting a Fletcher class destroyer, can I man the 20 millimeter Oerlikon?
Oh yeah, all of them.
As,
I'll even be the guy to put the new the rounds in for you.
No, that would be the 40 millimeter Bofors.
The 40. Yeah, the Oerlikon had a drum, right?
That had the drum magazine.
Right.
Yeah, that was a one-man operation mostly.
As long as I can be on the bridge, standing on the throttle, screaming nonsensical things, then you guys can do whatever you want.
I think it has
you can be on the bridge
telegraph.
Yeah, but you can be on the bridge with a freaking gallon of rum. For all I care.
No, I'll have scotch in one hand. I'll be waving around a saber in the other.
Shut up, Zeno! Someone get Bravo a kazoo and a spot in a Monty Python skit. You're just
this is a plan. We got to win the lottery now.
We've got our basic crew established. I guess from what it sounds
Zeno, like. Zeno in chat is my buddy that I was telling you about, the tanker.
Yeah. Manners is also in here too, so
I'll bring the sun cream, he says.
I guess we've got more of a crew assembled than we initially thought. So now we've got the leader.
Of course the forward observer would be the one talking about bringing cream.
Of course.
My buddy Manners is in chat too. He said he was Royal Artillery Regiment.
Oh.
In Iraq and Afghanistan. He was a forward observer.
Yep.
So he can be the gunnery officer on our Fletcher.
Yeah, he can run the rangefinders.
Yeah, he can sit up in the rangefinder and run run the director for the 5-inch guns.
I actually think
we're putting a crew together.
All we need is the ship.
Here's another thing too. Like if you guys really want to have fun, we could modify it to be a small boat carrier. There's a bunch of 25-foot Defender 2s made by Safeboat. These things they're pretty badass. They're 25 foot. They got two twin 225 horsepower Hondas, and they scream. And they scream in about 4-foot chop. So if we could modify the Fletcher to carry like 4 of them, we could put a 240 on the bow of each one. And just scream around.
I don't think we'll need the torpedo tubes.
No, I don't think we'll need the torpedo tubes either. I mean, that's
we could easily
let's not get rid of the torpedoes quickly.
You could build a boat,
but they're Mark 14s
on top of the torpedo tubes. As long as the tubes could run out underneath the boat deck, you could put them on top.
It's not necessarily like shooting the torpedo at someone and having it blow up. I think just having that bubble steam torpedo wake would probably have a sufficient effect.
But they're unguided Mark 14 torpedoes.
Well, all the modern ships now don't have armored hulls. So that
But you
torpedo,
still-
it's moving at 40 knots. That's punching a 24-inch hole.
You still need to aim
Eight-
the damn thing.
Well, we'll find some science
gonna do
nerd to
that?
do that.
Yeah, who's gonna do
That's
that? We don't have it.
trigonometry. I
Who knows
haven't done
trig?
trigonometry since 2004.
Who knows, Trig? You're hired for our fake
Yeah,
crew.
there we go. Problem solved.
It's
Or just get really close and then launch the torpedo.
it's
Like,
just
this is
time,
not
speed,
hard.
distance. All we need is a maneuvering board and a straight course. We can figure it out. And a radar. We need a radar.
Or we can compromise and use some of those German World War II acoustic homing torpedoes.
Oh, did you guys see that YouTube short I shared in Discord today? It's 47 seconds. This is how you deal with pirates.
With the Olympia?
No,
Oh,
cargo ship, but I'm sharing the tab.
oh yeah, I saw that video.
Oh yeah, this is fucking.
They light them up. That
Oh.
thing just vaporizes.
Yeah, these little fuckers, they're skiff. Okay. Yeah,
Fucking unmanned.
it's just a fucking cargo ship. Nothing to see here. We're just gonna take you over. Look at me.
FALs.
That's
FAL
another thing we
and
could
Ninja
bring
Jack.
back. If we have any subjects to the crown here, we could bring back Q ships.
You bring back what?
Q ships from World War One. They were disguised.
Oh yeah.
Oh, these guys at the FALs are having a fucking real blast. You're gonna hit that motherfucker. Boom! Boom goes the dynamite. You fucking
I wonder what did they have on that boat? That was
It,
not
it was
kinetic.
probably a bunch of gas drums. Because how far offshore was that?
Who knows?
Yeah. Because the druggies usually run with like a bunch of gasoline on board.
And they could have been rocking tracers as well
Yeah.
for that purpose. So-
Virginia, he had an FAL because the FAL is the right arm of the free world.
Okay, boomer.
As long as it's inch pattern.
Thank you. That's all I own, actually.
I
yeah,
actually didn't get to shoot yours when you were down here last summer.
Yeah, we were shooting other shit, and it was like,
Yeah,
holy
we
fuck,
ran out of time.
We'll be fine
and-
this summer.
We ran out of time. It was way too windy, and we were all sunburned.
Oh yeah, we got sunburn in the like 40-mile-an-hour sustained wind and a cloudy day.
Yeah,
Like we were all just like fried. And I'm like, fuck, let's just go back and eat steaks. And
yeah, that's exactly what we did.
yeah, we went back, grilled steaks, ate food, and then shot the shit for a while, and then went to bed. It was awesome. But no, the FAL, I'd rather have an FAL. Like I would not want a fucking AR, even a 20-inch on a fucking boat like that. It's not going to reach out and do anything. An FAL with tracers. That's why I want the 240, is because it's like I'll sit there and I'll just go.
I'd be okay with an M14.
It's a 7.62 though. Like you can actually, but you got to have tracers to do that. What they just did on that.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I wanted. They put the 240 on the bows of the after 9/11. We had the M60 in the Coast Guard until
Sure.
Oh, I love the 60.
2010s, I think, somewhere around there before they were all phased out. But we eventually put the 240s on the bow of all our small maneuverable boats, and then we'd throw them inside a harbor and be like, okay, you can't use them, but there you go. And I said, well, what about an M14 with optics, or even a shotgun with a solid slug, for our bow gunner, and then we could use it inside a close-in harbor like Boston or New York.
Mhm.
They're like, yeah, that's a good idea. But we have the 240s, so we're going to use those.
Fine.
Okay.
The 240s that we can't use.
So that goes into the. I guess it's the right time. I'm writing a sci-fi novel, and Jake, I don't know if you read it during the contest, but it's like an interstellar war where humanity has to retake a planet that was taken over by aliens. The thing is that this is the first time it's happened, so the Earth military has to create the capability of planetary assault because they've never done it before. and kind of draw on my experiences because I joined before 9/11, and the Coast Guard was mostly search and rescue with a little bit of law enforcement. And then after 9/11, we had to develop a bunch of different capabilities. And for the first few years, it was friggin' chaos. Like nobody really knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, like, from your guys' experience in the Army, because you guys were in around the same time where we're going from Cold War era to GWAT as far as tactics, equipment, shit like that. What are some of the things that you guys saw that you're like, these are obvious growing pains that somebody should have foreseen but didn't?
The bayonet course at basic training.
Huh.
Yeah, I believe we were one of the last. I think I was the last rotation at Benning to go through the bayonet course. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have it in 2010.
Wow. So that's just
So
not a thing anymore.
I have no idea how to make the grass grow anymore. No
But
clue.
you know what makes the grass grow? That's all that matters.
I don't know. That's why all my grass is dead.
We just need to get it out of the damn body.
Water makes the grass grow. Blood just makes it pretty.
Yeah, we were the last ones to do bayonets, and it's like, so I have a fucking bayonet bar I can wear on my expert badge.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fucking old school, Gramps. But like, but I don't remember because I think they said it was our company or our whatever was like one of the, if not the last ones to do the bayonet course at all.
The grass grows so well because of all of the bullshit everywhere.
Well, and I asked because I had a buddy who was in the Army before he joined the Coast Guard, and he was one of the first deployments over in Iraq, and he was in a striker unit. And yeah, well, I mean, look, I said he joined the Coast Guard afterwards. We don't need to repeat ourselves.
Well, at least he wasn't a submariner.
Those guys are fucking
They're weird.
Shit.
Those are
Dude,
weird. Dudes.
Those people are batshit crazy.
I have an uncle who not only was a submariner for 24 years, but he was also on missile subs. He was a nuke tech, and he retired chief of the boat.
Damn.
He retired a senior chief petty officer, and then after he got out, he went and worked at nuclear power stations.
Well, I told you, Jake, my story about meeting that Navy guy who was the MAA, who used to have to inspect all the bags going on the subs before deployment, and it was, they had some toys.
Well, at least the missile subs, they were big enough so everybody had their own bunk.
Yeah, they just chose not to.
The fast attack
not to have their own bunk. That was
the fast attack subs. They had to hot rack.
Had to.
Yeah, the fast attack subs, they do not have enough space inside the ship for everybody to have their own bed. So they have to hot rack.
Well, they figured they were going to jump in their beds anyway, so they might as well just have,
I mean, that's just a stereotype. That never happens.
But yeah, missile boats actually have enough square footage inside that they can have individual racks.
Manners, do you want to come on? I know you're in the UK and it's pretty fucking late, but if you want to come on, you're more than welcome. Same with you, Andy.
Yeah, I can email the.
Yeah, just if they want to. If they don't want to, that's fine. I get it.
Dispersed a potential riot by screaming "Fix bayonets." Yeah. I don't care what language you speak. That's an international signal right there.
That's why I brought my bayonets on. The first two deployments. I didn't bring it on the last one.
Knowing
weapons didn't come out of the arms room, but it was for crowd control. I'm thinking because we're in the rear with the gear.
Me a bayonet.
Well, your commander had them. I'm sure he signed for them.
No, they never issued us bayonets on either deployment.
No, the kids probably had them.
They're in the arms room. You just didn't bring them with you. I can almost guarantee you they had them on the property book. I mean, if a logistics ammo unit has bayonets, then you would have had bayonets.
I guarantee you we did. I guarantee you we just
They're
never got
a highly pilferable item, though. So
Dude, the M9
there's
bayonet's a really handy tool to have. It's also very heavy.
Shit, I have a bayonet somewhere.
Can't handle weapons on
Hell, I
stream.
had, but
Remember, can't handle weapons on stream.
I don't like the M9 bayonet because it doesn't fit an M9 pistol. So it's kind of
Trey with the real talk. Yeah.
dead ass. You know how I be doing this shit. Real talk. Like
God.
you know, like yeah.
No, I think I told this on a previous stream, but like, remember? Well, no, Jake doesn't remember this. But Wood, my roommate over there, who's been mentioned many times on stream, brought an M7 bayonet from Vietnam in an MAA1 scabbard and had it on his fucking IOTV. When we got to Iraq, and then he's just like, I guess it's too heavy and I don't really need it. So, but yeah, he was a nerd like that too. He brought a fucking Vietnam era bayonet. Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Well, the reason I brought them is if you see a soldier and they have a fixed bayonet, they mean business generally.
That's something that is like you said earlier. It's kind of a primal, visceral.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is about to be really either fucking bad or we just walk away.
That's why the bayonet was so. Before firearms finally got to the point when we have breech loaders, we have machine guns, when finally you can shoot enough bullets at a charging enemy that you can stop them with bullets.
Yep.
Before that point, the bayonet, because it's psychological.
Oh,
like
fuck
we,
yeah.
We rationally know that when people are shooting at us, you're in danger. We know that rationally, but it's not instinctive. Even horses, the reason that infantry square, like in Napoleonic era, the infantry square was so powerful is because the horse will not charge into those bayonets because it knows those are going to hurt. We have the same thing. We're afraid of things that poke and hurt. Yeah. We have this intense, instinctive, psychological fear of things that we know are going to cut and hurt us. That's beyond a rational fear. So when you're standing there and you see 1,000 guys charging at you with bayonets, it's that incredibly powerful psychological effect that makes you just turn around and run. It's very rare that you get two sides. Very rare. That's why there's so few bayonet wounds. A lot of bayonet charges, very few bayonet wounds, because someone is going to go, oh shit, drop their guns, turn around and run. Well, and then you've taken the position.
If someone in the modern day was trying to get in knife range with me, I would run from that crazy bastard 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
I would not be sticking around.
Well, that's how I get his booze.
A lot of
I mean, I would take it with me.
A lot of World War I and Civil War veterans, which we've talked about, I believe, on streams before, when they actually got face to face with an enemy, they couldn't stab them. They just shot them.
Yeah, but triangular bayonet wounds aren't easy to heal.
Yeah, troll, try as hard to troll, but fails half the time.
So apparently that was a common thing in the Civil War as well. Is hit him in the butt with the butt of the rifle, or him.
Yeah, or clubbing people for whatever reason. Clubbing people is more like primal, I think, than like having a fucking spear, basically.
Because that was a common thing. Was you don't know if they died or not, so your conscience is somewhat clear. Of did I knock them out or kill them? I don't know. Whatever.
Yep.
Versus when you stab somebody with a fucking foot-long bayonet, like pretty sure I killed him. Like you can see the anguish in his face, and
it's very personal, very personal.
Yeah, like if you're crashing the butt of a Civil War rifle into someone's skull, I mean, you're probably going to be killing them. But there's not going to be the blood, the screaming, looking him in the eye while it's happening.
Yeah, and you're moving on. You're not like, hey, I watched him exasperate.
You're not going to lay down and spoon him after you butt stroked him.
Well, right, yeah.
No, but it's like so bayonets, like in both. the American Civil War and up through World War II. Actually, that's why they kept getting shorter, and they started becoming really not a non-essential part of your kit, is because of the fact that most times when they would do like a bayonet charge, there were minimal casualties, and they was just like, well, we just took casualties from artillery and machine gun fire instead of actually inflicting casualties, because even when the guys would get up there, they'd be like hesitant, and they'd be like, God, I can't do this. Like, it's so close. Like you're 3 feet away from this dude, and you can't do it. And then like Trey said, hearing him scream and everything like that. It's not an immediate. The movies piss me off because they always fucking do this. Like, oh, when somebody gets stabbed, they're dead immediately. They're fucking just it's like 2 seconds. Right. No, if somebody gets stabbed, you're bleeding out for hours a lot of times.
I would almost rather get
internally.
Yeah. Yep.
I'd almost rather get stabbed than hit with 5.56.
Oh, you fucking Are you serious? Really?
Just think of the energy transfer, and so you get you take a bayonet, right? It's relatively thin. It's a straight, clean cut. There's no energy transfer, and as long as they don't get you like right through the heart, Doc, as long as they don't stab you like 18 times, but taking 5.56 in soft tissue or 7.62.
I don't want to be wounded at all, thanks.
Yeah, I would almost rather say, give me the bayonet.
The Purple Heart is not a medal that I wish to have.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't have one. I'm really glad I don't have one.
Not high on my priority list.
But Brett, you're being serious?
I can never tell
I have
with
to
him.
think about it. Yeah, with
well, okay, so I'll
so
counter
how
my
on soft tissue, like
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. So I'll counter it with my opinion. I'm not trying to come from a position of authority. Have you ever been stabbed? Like actually stabbed, not just like cut yourself or whatever like that. You ever gotten like a knife that went in more than like an inch?
Yeah, like a modeling knife once got me pretty bad, and I was cutting and it went, but that was just surface.
I'm talking like going. So I got a chick that I was dating back in the day, and glad I'm not with her anymore.
I like where this is going.
She accidentally, quote unquote, she was cooking something and was holding a knife like this, right, in the kitchen. And I went up to her. I said, "What are you doing?" And I was like this, because she was burning something on the stove. And she turned around and it went into my fucking wrist right here, like about an inch.
Hispanic, right?
No, not at all. No. And so I just went, oh God, fuck. The pain was immediate, right? And I was like, oh shit. And then I was like, there was shit in there, there was stuff on the knife. I could not attest to being shot because I've never been shot by a gun. But that hurt so fucking bad that I would assume from my buddies who have been shot, who I know, that getting stabbed and getting shot are two different kinds of pain, but on the same level. So I'm going to confidently say I'd rather have neither.
Well, if she had an M1, you probably would have known when she was out with the ping, so you could have taken care of it.
I could have circled around and flanked her, and
yeah.
But no, it was just, and it was a clean cut too, because like it didn't bleed at first. Like it just went right into my wrist here, and I was like, it was dead center, like right here.
I stabbed myself and cut to the bone on my hand with a Swiss Army knife when I was a kid.
Yep.
And
I think we all have.
Yes.
It was bad. Like I needed about 15 or so stitches.
Yep. Dude, I think we were talking about this not on the stream, but like, so there was a few years back where so there's a scar, you can see that on my finger.
Yeah.
Looks good on the camera. So a few years back, I was talking to a chick, a lovely lady. She wasn't lovely. And we were on Skype, and I was just fucking hammered. So I was trying to open a beer with a K-bar, right?
Hell yeah.
K-bar. And I'm just like, a bottle of vodka in just on Skype. This is like 2014, I think it was.
Attaboy.
I just went pop, and then it slipped and it just fucking cut down to the bone on this finger. and I'm like hammered, so it's like my blood's thinner. I'm like,
Well, it's going to learn today.
And so, yeah, so I just grabbed a roll of paper towels, wrapped it around the bitch, and I was like, okay, yeah, all right, let's just
playing it cool.
You're just playing it cool. And she's like, do you need to go to the hospital? And I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. And like, I'm just sitting there like this on Skype. And she's like, I think you need, because she could see the blood like coming through the paper towel, like dripping on the back of my head. And I'm like, oh, I'll just change it out. Because fingers and heads bleed like nuts. And so I'm sitting there. And then anyway, I just went to sleep with a huge like paper towel thing around my hand. I woke up, the thing had fucking weight to it, you know? So I'm like, I lost a decent amount of blood last night. But I have to go and shoot guns at my buddy's farm with all my buddies today. So I went and got my guns and shit. And I'm like, God, that's pretty grody. I have pictures. I'm not gonna do it here on live, but I'll send it to you later. But like, it cut through like 2 veins or 1 vein or whatever it was, and just would not stop. And that was a bad cut. But on the same finger, like you were saying, I think everybody's done it with the Swiss Army knife. When I was a kid, we had foster kids, right, in our house, because my parents were trying to like help people out and shit. And so I was like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years old, and I was trying to close like a jackknife that had a lock on it, like, but I didn't know how to like engage the lock.
Yeah.
And so I forced it, and it went pop right into the same finger, just a little bit farther. It's not going to show because it's not focused, but the same finger right here. So I had to get like tons of stitches. Anyway, the bigger one later, I went in the next day because my buddies were like, you should probably go get medical attention. I said, yeah, perhaps. And so I go into the urgent care, and they're like, well, you should have come in when you did it because it's already starting to heal. And if we stitch it up now, it's not going to heal right. So you're just going to have to go with it. There was like fat coming out of it, you know, like it was that deep.
That was when I did my hand. There was just collagen everywhere.
Yeah. Fucking A. But like, yeah, I mean, fingers are. Just a couple months ago, I sliced the tip of my fucking thumb off when I was cooking food. Like,
and you just cooked it right into the food.
No, I got to stop bleeding, and I wrapped it up.
Us.
I was making German red cabbage and apples, and I was on the last slice of apple, and I was like, okay, you know, rush to the finish line, and my knife was pretty damn sharp. I just went, and I was like, oh no. I felt it, but I didn't feel pain, and I'm like, that's not good. I look at it, and it's just fucking. I still don't have feeling in the tip of my thumb right now. So
there's Zeno in chat. Screw running with scissors. Just don't give Mike scissors. Period.
Oh, do not. I'm not good with edge weapons or explosives. Please do not give either one of those to me. Again, that's why I just said give me a 240. That's all I want. Don't give me knives. Don't give me fucking bombs, grenades, whatever.
I've actually got a. So
go ahead.
In 2010, when we were leaving Iraq, Navy Customs took from me my $300 Microtech Ultratech out the front knife. And I was like, just a few months ago, I was able to repurchase one finally after 14 and a half years, almost 15 years. And
nice.
because of YouTube's weapons thing, I can't bring it on stream, can I?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't do that. I don't.
But
I mean, even using this box cutter to peel mandarin oranges, I was like, but I wouldn't do that. Like, just. Yeah.
Well, I can probably show the knife without the blade deployed because it just looks like a.
Yes, there you can do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's not a weapon then. It's just a piece of steel.
But the problem is that everything I own is black.
Yep. That means you're not racist.
The blade comes out like I said, it's out the front.
Oh, I know. Like I know why they confiscated that. Yep.
No, they confiscated because it was a $300 knife, and one of them wanted it, and it wasn't.
Well, there
on the
you
books.
go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah,
yep, exactly. That's what they did.
Oh, can't have that.
No,
nope. They wouldn't even let me take my cologne back.
Why?
Because it was expensive. Because expensive.
Yeah, it was expensive.
And
we had Marines. It was Marines, I think, doing our customs.
But
really?
Yeah, the one thing that they actually asked me at Ali Al Salim when we were going through Navy Customs was this issued?
You should have just said yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I should have.
Yeah.
But you don't know it at that point. You're so fucking tired, and you just want to go home, and you're like, oh god.
See, that was the best thing about being deployed on the cutter. Like, we were technically customs inspectors, so we
Yeah.
didn't have to go through any of that.
Lucky
really?
bastard.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Because they could do it like in house.
How many
Because-
Cubans did you guys bring home?
I like the number 5.
I like the number 5. What a hell of a non-answer. I respect it. What was funny because we were talking about this the other day is like when we were overseas, like we would get I was like, oh, I get to get Cuban cigars and all that shit, and oh, okay, that's awesome. I had them, and I'm like, it's very underwhelming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't impressed.
If
They're
you've
okay.
if you've had a Dominican cigar,
I was just gonna fucking say that. I always think, and this is an argument between a bunch of people that I've had, is I'm like, you're either a Cuban flavor guy or you're a Dominican guy. Honduran's not bad either. It's a close third, I would say. But those three, I think, produce the best cigars in the world. Okay. Dominican cigars, in my opinion, are my favorite. Okay. And we've got a friend who, never mind, I won't say that. Yep. But like we got a friend who has some cigars who he sent us some cigars.
It's
And-
Digi.
Yeah, but like I
Augie
don't
knows
wanna say- I
Digi.
don't-
Oh, okay.
yeah, so he sent us some cigars, and I haven't tried one yet. We're gonna all try one together. Yeah, exactly. Those.
Ah, okay.
So
These are the
they're-
ones that he was. These are the ones that he was telling us. They are made by people who left Cuba for the Dominican.
Yeah.
They are made in soil conditions that are as close to Cuban soil as possible, with Cuban seeds, Cuban tobacco seeds.
Oh, Trey, I got one for you, buddy.
And so these are as close to Cuban cigars as you can get, and with them not being Cubans.
It's the same with Bacardi rum. Bacardi
Yeah.
was originally a Cuban product.
Yep.
And they did very similar things when they moved to when the family moved to Puerto Rico.
There you go. That's right.
Look at this. It's
There you
even
go.
got a blue fucking cord on it. Original Swiss, like
A
from the
little,
fucking
little wing cap.
yeah.
But what Rob was telling me about these cigars is that for whatever reason they were imported wrong or incorrectly, or somebody didn't have the license to import them when they imported them, so they can't sell them. So he's got basically a Connex full of them, and he just gives them away because he can't sell them.
Right, and like we were talking about with Rob, like the first time you and I want to have one is when we're all like on a stream, or like not a stream, but like probably Discord or some shit, sitting around together. It's too fucking cold to go outside and smoke one right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're gonna do that. And
But yeah, he sent me the torpedoes, and he sent me the Double Corona, which it's the same tobacco, but they're just bigger
I might have
cigars.
had those before. My uncle growing up, he was my godfather. He was a big cigar guy, and
yeah,
Christmas I'd always get him a bunch of different cigars, and it was always
Put
like
the
when
blue light in.
when I first joined, we went to Dominican Republic, and I got a bunch of Dominicans from there that I guess were really good, but I don't know all the different things.
well, no. Have you ever had Arturo Fuente? It's a pretty fucking common Dominican company.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Yeah, they're that's what I usually like before. I'm sure Rob's are probably better, but I actually exchanged a few cigars with like this dude that I used to reenact with, who was a big cigar aficionado. And I said, "Here's a couple Arturo Fuentes. They're not humidor. I don't have a humidor and all that shit, so they're probably dry." And we smoked them down at the reenactment event, and he was like, "I usually don't like Dominican cigars. I think they taste metallic." And I'm like, "That's interesting." But he goes, "This brand, like, this is really good." And so Dominican cigars to me are just kind of like You could sit there and also the fucking taste doesn't sit in your mouth for 3 fucking days.
Mm.
You know, it's like it's gone with like you can go to sleep and it's gone in the morning. You know, it doesn't just sit in there. That like nicotine kind of like coating. I don't know. It could be just a psychological thing. It could be a placebo effect. But
Be right back.
okay.
Mike,
but yeah.
did you get off topic real quick? Did you get your Hardy yet?
No, he sent it out yesterday.
Okay, cool.
So it'll be here on Monday.
Cool. All right.
And I didn't get the fucking mail when I said I was going to get it. Okay, I'm going to get the mail. Trey, you know these two guys, right? You've been on stream with them before?
Jim, Leroy, and Steve. Yep.
Jesus Christ. Are you okay, bud?
I had a stroke, but it's fine.
You had a fucking... No, you didn't.
What?
Huh?
What?
Oh. Is a stroke like a fucking bottle of booze, or what are we talking about?
Yeah, come on. I got cockroaches. I know about hairy legs anyway. Come on, man. Hey, Brett, did you get that? Brett, did you get that post I put you earlier about the t-shirt?
About the what?
The t-shirt.
I don't think so. T-shirt? No, I don't think so.
It was an advertisement for a t-shirt. I think you'd enjoy it. It was on Facebook, I believe. Let me double check.
Okay. Yeah, maybe.
Hey, baby.
Like I get so many messages a day. It's
I'm
not
sure you
even
do.
funny.
Yeah. It said it was an Instagram post. So
was it the one about Prussia?
No, it was a Dachshund post. It was a t-shirt. Hang on. I'll send a screenshot.
Speaking of, come here, Willie. Hey, come on. Come here. Come, so forth.
It's not working. God.
Anyway, you are the
it
most
was
stubborn dog.
It's a dachshund. Of course, it's stubborn.
It was a Dachshund post, but it was a t-shirt of a Dachshund on a shirt, but it was giving the middle finger. I was like, he'd appreciate that.
Yeah, that's pretty much if they had opposable thumbs and workable digits, they would pretty much just be permanently flipping off the world.
Yeah. Dachshund, everybody thinks it's German for badger hound. It's not. It's German for little pain in the ass.
Yes.
Well, you know why they came up with the badger dog story.
To explain why it was digging holes in the yard?
Well, no, it was so back in one of the German states in the 1700s somewhere. I think it was in Bavaria or somewhere, but they're Germans sitting down and they're drinking like at a Hofbrauhaus or something, and they're getting smashed.
How is that any different than normal?
Just Germans being Germans. And then one of them, he says, he gets drunk and he says, "Ha, Hans, I bet you can't breed a dog the same color and shape as a turd." And he says, "You're on." And then they bred the dachshund. But to save face, they said these were actually bred to hunt badgers. It was all an elaborate ruse to cover up the true origins of the dachshund, which are very shameful.
Yeah, funny, but yeah, I know better. The dog that I grew up with was a den trials champion. He was a standard dachshund, so they're very, very hard to find standard dachshund breeders these days.
They're viciously aggressive too.
The big question is, what were they doing between the mid 1920s and the mid 1940s?
Nothing. Punch was served.
But yeah, right. I would absolutely love to get a dachshund, but most of the dachshund breeders in the U.S. are either breeding minis or tweenies.
Yeah.
It's very rare to find a standard dachshund breeder these days. And
my first dachshund, Kaiser, was a standard dachshund, and he had. So the Germans recognized two breeds. there's the Dachshund and the Tekel, based on temperament. So the real German Dachshund is that it's bred to just be raw aggression, because if you're training a dog to go after a badger
In a
that
hole,
dog
underground.
in a hole, that thing has to be just a one-track mind. Kill, kill, kill. And
One
that's what
Easter,
Kaiser was. He charged a pack of coyotes. He got out the front and took off down the street, full-on bayonet charge into a whole pack of coyotes. Fearless. Of course, they ripped him to shreds. We never found a piece of him bigger than an ear. That was all we found. But just attack, just instinctive attack mode, charged to his doom.
So one Easter, we were at my grandparents' farm up in northern Wisconsin, and my dad took the dog. His name was Icon, out for a walk, and out there in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, didn't have him on a leash. Well, Icon, being a trained and champion den trials dog, got on a scent trail and followed it, and just completely ignored the fact that my dad was there and was the person who was in charge. Nope, he followed his nose, and we could hear him barking half the night. and my dad and my brother went out to try to find him, and the only thing they could go by was the sound of the dog barking. When they finally found the dog in the middle of a field, oh nice. When Perfect. They finally found the dog in the middle of a field, it had been chasing down a skunk. The skunk was half dead already from this dog just attacking it over and over again. The dog was covered from nose to tail in skunk spray.
Good for him.
The skunk could not spray anymore. It was out.
Are you trying to write a children's book?
Feeling underdressed.
Yes. The dog couldn't see. The dog's eyes were covered in the skunk spray. It probably couldn't smell anything. It was probably doing all of that on just hearing alone. And the skunk was almost dead. My brother finished it off by dropping a rock on it. And then they brought the dog back home, back to the farm, and that was a miserable Easter. Everybody smelled like skunk that Easter.
It smells like decrepit, rotting onions.
Yeah, it was bad. And the dog had to live outside for the rest of the weekend. But he was happy. He was wagging his tail, and he was. He's like, "Look what I did."
So, Brett, what other new upcoming things do you have in works?
I'm at task saturation. I've got video already recorded for 5 or 6 projects that I just have to sit down and edit.
Oh,
I shot the P-51 at 300 yards.
Nice.
I gotta finish editing that.
You still making Maynards?
Yeah, I'm making them with non-corrosive primer now, and that there's a video on that coming out too.
Nice.
That's fucking cool.
Got several rifles back here. I've either never shot or that I need to work up loads for, including one of these Lorenzes. I bought it before I deployed, and it's just been sitting here. I didn't realize there was a piece of leather rammed all the way down in the breech because the vent was clogged, and I thought it was just clogged with rust or grime or something. I took the worm in and pulled out chunks of leather. I have no idea how or when. That could have been 10 years ago. It could have been 100 years ago. Someone rammed down leather. But I need to shoot that.
These two guys don't want a Lorenz at all. So
no, I don't recommend getting a Lorenz. They're, that's why I buy them, is just I'm just taking them out of the market so that other people don't have to go through the misery of owning them. Yeah.
See,
Well,
I
There's no
don't.
reason to be a cunt. There's no reason to be a cunt.
I don't want one for.
There's no
I
reason
don't.
not to be.
I don't want one
Fair.
for reenactment purposes. I want one that's actually functional.
Yeah.
One that I can actually shoot projectiles out
Yeah.
of.
Well, that's the one he was
It's-
just saying is once he cleared the fucking
Yeah.
leather out of the thing, it's like now it's a functional fucking rifle.
Yeah,
musket.
it'll shoot now, and the nipple's still good. I was expecting to have that the original Austrian nipple. I was expecting it to be just
So does that
shot
take a
through.
musket cap or a
Yeah.
fucking okay? So it takes a
Yeah,
like
musket
a musket
cap.
cap. The big
yeah.
Correct me-
The
correct me if
older
I'm wrong,
generation
number
of
10,
Austrian
right?
guns had what they called the tube lock, the Augustin console style lock,
Mm.
that it used a copper tube full of the primer material instead of a cap.
Oh, okay.
But by the time they get to the 54 Lorenz, they switched to the percussion cap. It's a lot easier to make the gun. To make the lock device for the tube lock, just more time, more money.
Well,
It's
'cause the
cheaper
thing is,
and
the
easier.
reason I ask is like I bought by accident because I've got a couple black powder weapons that I just wanted to shoot and whatever. But I accidentally bought musket caps instead of like the number 10s.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, I'm never gonna be able to use these, and I can't they're really hard to ship and whatever. But if they take a musket cap,
Right.
I'll just
take a
save them for
musket
that 'cause
cap.
I got
And-
fucking 5,000 of them. So,
Oh well, what brand are they?
god damn it, did I take up my
CCI.
garage again? I think
Now the majority of the Civil War stuff is number 10 or 11. Which one is it? I can't remember.
let me
No.
go show you really quick because I actually because you guys are on here, I want to ask this question. So I'll go grab them really quick. I was just out there, but no, but
'Cause
also really
number-
quick, Jake, it's here.
I saw it. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Cool. So
Because is it number Brett? Is it number 11 or number 10? The musket.
Well, those are more common for pistols.
Which one?
Number 10 and number 11 are two different sizes of
Yeah, exactly.
percussion caps.
One is for mainly for pistol and modern black powder, like the traditions.
right, like an
number-
inline muzzleloader
Yeah.
will also take a 10 or 11, but the Civil War style muskets, like the Springfield musket, the Enfield, the Lorenz, use what's called a musket cap, and they're all in a surprisingly early kind of standardization. They all use the same cap, even
Yeah.
though everyone had all different measurements. Like the Austrian rifles are made in Austrian measurements, the Prussian are in Prussian. The caps, like a Austrian musket cap would have worked on a British Enfield and on an American Springfield.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And musket caps are kind of hard to come by now. They're
And what era are these weapons?
1850s.
1850s, 1860s, Civil War
Okay.
era.
So these are factory line weapons. Then they're not like guild
Correct.
made.
Correct. Yeah, they're made by the 1860s. With a few exceptions, they're made by machinery in factories, and the parts are usually interchangeable. If not completely interchangeable, then with a very, very small amount of final fitting, they'd be
Yeah.
interchangeable.
Have you ever heard? He's Taylor Anderson. He's an author. He wrote the Destroyerman series, alternate history. It was a World War II.
So that's the cap itself.
Yeah, that looks like a musket cap, at least from here.
Yeah, it's got a flare on it.
Yeah. Yeah, the number 10, number 11 are like where they're most commonly used now is on like Civil War era cap and ball revolvers.
Yeah.
Or-
Those don't have the wings though. Those are
Correct.
yeah.
Right.
They're a bit smaller.
so it's these.
Okay, yeah. So those are good. They're marketed by Schutzen, which is a German company, but those, if you
They're
look
made
closely,
in Spain though, which is
they're
funny.
made in Spain. Now that company that was making those percussion caps is no longer making percussion caps.
Oh, so this is a collectible item, so I shouldn't use
That's
them.
now,
Okay.
yes,
100%.
and the Schutzen caps, they have a mixed reputation. Reenactors often don't like them because they are very hot. They're like 3 times as hot, and by hot I mean they have 3 times more primer
More of a
material,
charge.
which
Yeah.
is lead styphnate is the priming material.
And so, but
They-
like, so this will work on a Lorentz, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. Yep.
And
And
this
you'll
will,
have
like,
you'll
'cause
have
I want to shoot it live, like as well. Like,
you'll have much fewer misfires with the Schutzen branded caps
yeah, I
because they
bought
are
like
very
5
hot.
boxes of these fucking things a while back,
Yeah.
and I
No, that's a smart investment. I mean, they're unobtainium now, so that's
cool. All
Yeah,
right. Well, I guess
no,
I didn't
you
fuck
did
up
well.
too bad.
No.
Okay. Yeah. No. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. So
I was
when
about
get
to
a
ask how much
Lorentz,
you wanted for them.
I don't want to sell them at this point. you done fucked yourself.
Well, there's a product relay where they kind of blow up the gun. So I'll buy them for like $1 a piece.
I know what I got, son.
Let me
I
tell
learned
you,
it 5
Dr.
minutes ago,
Hansford,
you fucking
they're more
child.
trouble than they're worth.
They're so hot. They burn the nipple. They melt the nipples. I'll
Very
buy them.
Very
People
bad.
like him.
I've been told by many people.
A lot
Everyone
of people have
agrees.
said they blow the guns up. They're blowing the guns up.
I don't know. That's just what they tell me.
Well, Jake, you just sound like yourself when you're trying to do a Trump impression. Like, what
Way
do
to
you
go, White Cracker.
So, Mike, what you need to do is the next time there's a gun show in your area, you need to get a table and just sit there with that one box of
Well, I've
muskets.
got 5 boxes of them, right?
That and
Just
beef
sit there with
jerky.
one
Don't forget the
box.
beef jerky.
Yep.
One box of rifle
Yeah.
caps and a bag of Jack Link's beef jerky.
In one taser.
I
In
don't
one
remember
taser.
even how much I paid. They weren't that expensive. I bought them from Buffalo
Yeah.
Arms. Like,
Yeah. Well, if
Yeah,
you
they
go
weren't
back on
that
Buffalo
expensive.
Arms now, they are out of stock, and so they're now selling them. You can still buy them, but they're selling them by you can only buy 100 caps at a time, and there's a limit of 2.
100.
So you can buy 200 caps from Buffalo Arms now.
Okay, so
not-
I guess
Yep.
I didn't fuck up too bad because I was always
Yeah.
like, what the hell am I gonna
honest.
do with these? They're just sitting around. You know?
Which, to be honest, 200 it's still a pretty substantial amount. Like
We'll trade for a full sheet of OSB or
they're the
pre-made
muzzle
maple
loader,
spray.
so I mean, you're not going to be firing, rapid fire.
I tell you,
200 will last you a whole day.
200 rounds. Yeah, that's about a day for me. My
Well, that's the thing is,
record
yeah.
fired consecutively on one day out of the same rifle is 201 rounds.
That's a
and
lot
that's
of fucking
because-
rounds, though.
That's all I brought. I brought
Yeah.
201 rounds, and we fired them all without cleaning, by the way. No cleaning. Start to finish. Poof, poof, poof. And I was so unbelievably sore.
Yeah,
I was wincing like never before.
Now, was that the Pritchard round or?
Pritchett. Yeah, you can't get 201 mini balls down. You'd struggle to get 20
Yeah,
mini balls down
20's
the
rough.
barrel.
20's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what you're saying is I have basically a half lifetime supply of these fucking caps, and I should
for
keep
the most part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
5,000 rounds will keep you, unless you get into reenacting, and then you're.
I'm not gonna.
One
I'm
of the
not gonna
things-
actually reenact Civil War. I'm just gonna do living history. So
That's smart.
yeah, I don't. I think we've had this conversation to an extent before. I got very tired of reenactors. Because I'm like, all you guys want to do is play army and burn fucking powder.
What's wrong with that? I mean,
There's
come on.
nothing wrong with that, but that's not my thing. And I just
Back
like,
in my day.
what is
I
back
like
then? You get
shooting a
old-
lot more than reenacting.
Cracker.
Right, shooting
Yeah,
and also
right.
teaching people about the fucking gear. If I want to
Yeah.
go, hey, fire, like 3 rounds and like show some like a group of 10 people that are immediately around me in a very safe way. All right, here's how it looks up close, right? Do ramrod, return it, cap, boom, same fucking thing. Turn it around. That's kind of what I think the hobby should be more than
Play battle.
play
Right.
battle. It's like kids playing war basically with just more expensive shit.
Yeah. Brett, on that subject, is there anything equivalent for the 54 Lorenz to the Pritchard as far as being able to repetitively shoot? Because the 61 and the 63
so you mean for the Lorenz, like
Yes.
the Pritchett. So the
Yes.
Confederates made a Pritchett style cartridge for the rifles in Confederate service. They also had, so they were infield cartridges. They were just ever so slightly smaller, including ammunition made in England. So they had Ely and other contractor ammunition makers in England making 54 caliber ammunition for the Lorenz, just like the Pritchett bullet, just like the regular infield cartridge. It just shrunk slightly. So you could shoot that exact same cartridge, and you can also shoot the Austrian ammunition, which you can also load. The cartridges externally look exactly like an English Pritchett cartridge.
Okay.
So they're still loaded, the bullets wrapped in the paper. There were two versions of the Austrian bullet. The most common, the compression bullet, it's got two deep cut grooves in it, and the concept is when the gun fires, it squeezes itself like an accordion, and that's how it expands into the rifling. There's a bunch of problems with that bullet. The chief problem, it tends to pinch paper, and it also requires a lot of energy from the charge to compress the bullet down, surprisingly.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
they switched to another style of bullet, the Potterville's bullet, the expanding bullet. They went to that in 1863. That's also one of the projects I am working on, shooting the Lorenz with the Pottervilles. I would argue that is the best rifle musket bullet of the entire era,
Okay.
like from 1853 until the end of rifle muskets in military use.
I've got these two books. I don't know if you've ever read them or not. There's a third book that also has
Okay,
them.
that guy, I gotta warn
friend-
you about him. He is a
friend of-
nerd.
Yeah, a friend of mine has the third
Oh,
book.
is that Brett Gibbons? That
I
fucking
think that's
douchebag.
think
that's
so.
it's Birth
Yeah.
Goblins or something. I
He's
think
a
is his
fucking-
name.
Yeah, he's like this.
He has a
fucking
business. It's
He's
called
like
Yeah,
this rogue that just fucking.
They're
Oh my
okay.
gosh,
He knows shit.
They're pretty
about-
decent.
he runs this business, I think Purple Carriages or something. But oh yeah, no, he's a
He's got about as much knowledge on the Civil War as Ian has on French rifles.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust anything in those books.
Yeah,
Actually,
those guys just aren't. It's not good.
no.
Definitely don't buy those books if you're into black powder shit.
Oh, there's a third. There's a third one.
Yeah, because like this guy is a total tool. He comes on to like streams and like podcasts and shit.
Yeah.
He's a
And he
hear he
shows
has
off
a-
his wiener.
He
If
has
you're
this
totally into
annoying
black powder
dog.
at all, this one's a very good one. I don't know who it's by, but
It's that Brent Gibbon.
It's Bert Goblins from
Mel Gibson.
purplecarriages.com.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah. Mel Gibson.
Mel
Yeah,
Gibson.
no, this one actually,
It's
if
from
you
the
are
Patriot.
interested in making your own black powder,
Yeah.
is very interesting.
Yeah.
It'll tell you how to blow yourself up, etc. But no, that was a pretty good book too.
Does it
But,
tell you how to regrow your eyebrows after you've singed them off?
No, because that does it by itself. But anyway, the but no,
I think
this
Augie
one's-
needs to read that book so he can learn how to regrow his hair.
So not
That ship-
because
that
I'm
ship has
friends,
sailed.
not because I'm friends with the author or anything, but I bought it just to see what it was about. And it's not just how to make black powder. It goes deeper in dive of how they made it back then and how to make it modernly equivalent to what it was back in the 1850s
Yeah.
and 60s.
Yeah.
And it's like I wouldn't like to address it as like a post-apocalyptic thing. Like if you want to make it black powder great as like you see, if you buy the book, it explains like modern black powder is not what it was back in the 1850s. It's a little bit less dense, a little less.
Right.
The guy over here, Brett, the hero of Fatherland, can kind of explain it better.
Fatherland. He's the hero.
I'm the hero of the
It's-
fatherland.
it's an
Did it
R,
cut-
not an L.
Oh, it did.
There-
It might have run out of room.
there's not a D at the end of it.
But yeah,
Oh, well,
that's a
people
pretty
get
good
the
book
picture.
if you want
If
to
you
make
want the D, I'll
if you want
show
to make your
the
own fire or black powder firearm black powder. It's
Yeah.
great because it explains. Like I said, I'm kind of a backwoods dumbass, but black powder, modern black powder you buy in a can is not the equivalent of what it was in the 1850s.
Are we
Well, no.
allowed to touch black powder on the live stream? Is that considered a no-no?
As far as I know, yeah.
I guess we'll find out. Just fucking. It's not a weapon in itself.
Hold on a second.
grab a
I'm going to
cake.
show
It's
you
like
guys.
it's like grabbing fucking water.
Yeah,
That's
grab
I'm
a
what
going to show
the
cake.
you some
compound-
black powder.
Wasn't
don't
the
know.
Google guy at the inauguration? When are these rules going to change?
The hottie.
So
I
this
I thought
is
the
black
guy
powder.
that ran Google was at the inauguration.
Hockey pucks. Yeah, I
Yeah.
see those in
So-
Canada a lot.
Those
So what's the story with those?
that's pressed black powder. So this is as it comes out of the press.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
so
if
you buy
this
his
is-
book, it shows
This
it,
is
and it's amazing.
ceramic hard. So I don't know if you can hear that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's black powder, and then it's pressed into the density that you want it at, and you adjust the density.
Are we talking
For
like
the
1F, 2F,
purpose.
triple F?
No,
Yeah.
that's the grain size. We're talking about actually how much gunpowder is squeezed. So this is squeezed on a hydraulic press.
I see that.
So
yes.
this
But, like,
So
powder-
you break it. Yeah, you break it.
Yeah,
Into
then you
what
then you
want
break
to.
it down to grain. So this is squeezed to a density of about 1.5 grams per cubic centimeter. And that
What's that in not communism units?
I
No.
have no idea. Something 3.7 pecks to a gill, I think is the yeah, I don't know.
And
So,
and
okay,
how many of those would feed a line company?
Oh, you need a
one
lot.
man. One
You
man,
need an
maybe.
awful lot. This is maybe
So okay.
300-400
My question
grains.
is, you were about to get to it, but like, how does that get into a rifled musket or a rifle?
You got to bust it up.
What,
So
like
into-
how do you?
mortar and pestle, or
So explain,
Yeah.
Brett, explain how you do it versus how they did it back in the 1850s.
Oh, well, back then,
Don't get your tricks of the trade out there. So don't
yeah.
fucking.
Well,
no,
this
he,
isn't.
he posted it in
There's
the book.
there are no tricks to the
okay,
trade. I
okay.
don't make it commercially, and so I wrote that book, I think in 2021, and everything I've done and described in that book has been taken to the next level by an order of magnitude by Jake from Everything Black Powder. He has gone much farther beyond where I left off, because I achieved my goal. Like that powder that I just showed you, that is the modern a reproduction I made to match the British Army's rifle fine grain powder from circa 1864. That's
So how
all
would
I
you
want to
just
make.
break it up then? How did they measure it?
So historically, they pressed the, we call them
Sure.
pucks now because they resemble pucks.
Yep.
But they pressed the powder into what they called plates back then, and then they took those plates and put them into a granulating machine. So think of something like an escalator, but instead of like the steps coming down, you have these rotating drums made out of brass, so nothing
teeth on 'em.
sparking, of course. And they've got teeth on them. So as this conveyor belt goes down, these drums spin and will crush the pressed plates of powder down into grain size, and then they will sift them through screens.
Yep. Okay.
And then that determines what size of grain. And so they would make some for cannon, they would make some for pistol, they make some for rifle.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yes,
I
that
was
makes
going
a
to
lot of
ask
sense.
why the plates.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the dust, the leftover dust, which is about 30% of the of everything. You get about 70% useful grains. There we go. There's a picture of the
There's a
machine
diagram, yeah.
that they used. But the dust just goes right back into the press. You press it back down again, and you granulate. So there's no waste. You can
Okay, so there's
interesting.
okay. This is what year approximately did it start?
1850s to 1860s.
So
Okay,
think of
so
it. Think of it as like a coin machine, like where you just throw a bunch of coins into
gotcha.
So the pennies go into
Or one of those
slot,
tire shredders you see from.
Yeah.
So
the pennies, dimes, and quarters go into one slot, and then you recycle what's left over, and then you bring it back.
So my question is, Brett, at the end result, how would they issue these pucks? We'll just call them pucks for the posterity.
You don't issue the pucks at all.
Yeah, this is all done at the factory.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the
this
pucks are how you
all
store it then.
Yeah.
No, the pucks is
factory level. This is factory level.
The pucks is just one of the stages of the production process.
Okay.
They would have never stored them so they would have stored the finished powder in barrels. So the pucks would have gone out of the pressing house in the factory, and then they would have been wheeled over to the granulating house. They only would have existed as pucks historically, or as plates as they called them then.
Sure, we're just gonna call them pucks for posterity.
For a day, maybe at most, before they end up getting granulated down. So
they'd say send a barrel of pucks or plates.
Right. Think of more like a train car load. They would move over to the granulating house because they're making gunpowder for the British Army and the Navy. So they're making hundreds and hundreds of pounds of powder every day in the British Army's powder mill.
So the cannon powder would be more coarse than the rifle powder?
Bigger.
Correct. Yes.
Coarse, but bigger. Yeah.
And
also
so
a different.
Really quick, can I just ask you one thing? Is so this was just for kind of logistics, for transportation.
Kind of, but
you talk about the pucks?
Yes, the pucks.
No, the pucks.
To get the proper density.
Yeah, the pucks, they were just pressed down into density to get the density of the gunpowder that you want.
I'm at that level. Yep, I'm at that. Yeah. I understand that level.
And then they were sent immediately to be broken up down into the grains of gunpowder that we're familiar with. So
but what was that for, transportation?
No, it was just to press them down.
Only to compress them to the proper format.
Yeah, you're still at the factory.
Yeah.
I don't understand what the point of that was then.
Of compressing them into pucks?
Yeah.
So
it's to get the right density. So black powder, all black powder is
it's consistency. That's the word I was looking for.
Not necessarily for even consistency.
Okay.
Black powder is charcoal that burns really fast.
I don't know who wrote this book.
Yeah, there's that nerd stuff again.
I'm just now figuring out why we're calling the author a nerd. I'm a little slow on the uptake.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand. I'm not trying to get.
The tighter you pack gunpowder. So let's say you take a pound of gunpowder and you put it and you squeeze it in a die in a hydraulic press.
Okay.
The more you squeeze it, which means that the more and more dense you pack that powder, the slower that gunpowder will burn. So the less dense, the faster it will burn. So for some guns, for the Martini Henry rifle, for instance, they found out that a more dense powder shoots better in that small bore rifle than a less dense powder. So for the muzzle loading infield, they found a less dense powder. So for the infield shoots about a 1.5 grams per cubic centimeter density, and the Martini Henry is close to a 1.8 grams per cubic centimeter.
Okay.
And they did all of this experimentation to see which density works best with the least fouling, the best ballistic results, and they determined by how much we press the powder, we get ideal results. So a muzzle loader, large bore, 58 caliber, a less dense powder burns faster, and that gives better results. For the cartridge smaller bore, like 45 caliber black powder rifles, you want a more dense. So that's why they squeeze the powder down into the pucks or the plates. It wasn't because they wanted to make pucks. It's because we want to squeeze the powder down to a certain density.
My question was like how did they have like a die that would like pop the fucking?
Yep, exactly. A big hydraulic press.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, like after when they were like making the powder for these rifles, they would have a die that would come down and cut it out to the diameter of the said rifle.
It'd be crushed. It'd be crushed.
It's crushed into a powder.
It would be like the right dosage, I guess I would say, the right amount.
Yeah. So after you crush the pucks or the plates up into grains, and then it's sorted.
It's all
then after it goes through a couple more steps, then it's glazed, because once you crush the pucks up, the edges are really sharp and you have a lot of sharp angles. So they would put it in a drum and just rotate it at slow speed for like 6 hours to polish it.
Yeah. So it explains right there. Hang on. So the bigger grains would go into one chute, and then we keep going.
We already were over this, but and then that would just go down and be loaded into cartridges.
Yeah. So the bigger grains, the size of like rock salt or sea salt, would go into cannon.
That would be cannon.
The medium grain would be rifle, and the finer grain would be pistol.
Okay, because the cannons were really large bore.
Yeah. So the smaller grain, like the powder, would be recycled back into that, and then be brought back.
And kind of just thrown in as far as weight, if I understand that correctly. The powder that was like recycled.
Yeah, you would measure your loads by you're going for weight, but how they actually filled the cartridges was by volume, knowing that so much of a space in this measure would equal this much weight.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I know black powder, like especially like brass black powder cartridges, you cannot have a fucking dead space in there. It has to be packed. Yeah. There has to be a wad and or cotton or something. And so I get that, and it's the same with the black powder like musket. So I understand the concept. I'm not that unfamiliar with that, but I'm like, so this was, I just don't understand why the fuck they would go. Well, again, that's what I was asking earlier, is like consistency, right? So like the pucks, it almost guaranteed consistency in the grain of the powder.
Mathematically, they knew if we compress it to this density, we know exactly how it's going to burn. We know exactly the pressure it's going to make. We know the velocity it's going to give. And so now it matches your sights. So the British Army, so the infield rifle, or let's just take the Lorenz. The Austrians were making powder the same way. They knew with this powder that we press to this density, it burns a certain way. When 60 grains of this powder burns, it's going to generate this much propellant gas. Is going to shoot the bullet at this speed, and we know mathematically a bullet this weight at this speed, we can work out the trajectory, and now you can mathematically engineer your sights so that when you put your sight at 500 yards, that bullet intersects correct. And so everything was the powder had to be made exactly the same.
And that was because if you had because it had not been done before then.
So if you squeeze the powder down to one density on Tuesday and then you make another density on Thursday, your gun's not going to shoot to the same spot.
You're going to have different ballistics.
Yeah.
So Brett, explain when the factory burned down in Louisiana. Explain the.
Oh Lord.
Oh, and when the GoEx had the fire recently.
explain the
When was that?
the dispersion within Vietnam when they changed
Come here.
factories.
Come here.
Explain that real quick.
Hey, Willie. My
I
attack
think
dachshunds going berserk. Yeah, what you're talking about the old Willie, come here. I don't know what he's barking at.
He named his wiener Willie.
The old DuPont
If you want to speak
factory.
German,
Well, it's
Wilhelm.
actually Wilhelm.
ja, kommen Sie her. Schnell. Mach schnell.
Los,
Willie.
los.
Come
Los
here.
geht's.
Raus!
Weiter.
Schnell!
Problem, dog.
He's a dachshund.
Your dick is running
You gotta speak
free.
German to him.
Right back.
You gotta speak German to him, Brad. Come on, you know this.
So this is pretty interesting. It's in one of his books, or the random author that I
Du
don't
bist ein
know.
Schnitzelwerfer.
But this is pretty interesting in my mind, just for the simplicity expands so much. So, like I said, Brett, like I said, it's in your book. I've read it. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Like I said, go about the GoEx plant burning down. They transferred facilities and they changed
Right.
wood.
It used to be the old DuPont plant in
That's
in
a name
Musik.
I've never heard of.
And GoEx stands for Gerhard Owen. Gerhard Owen Explosives is GOEX.
Okay, how it's
They
Omen.
were they took over after DuPont, and they had the factory. Of course, the powder plants blow up from time to time. That's just what they do, even with all the precautions.
Really?
I'm serious. The British when at Waltham Abbey, they
It's an explosive. Yeah.
they built a roof that would just open like this when the powder blew up, and so it wouldn't blow the walls down. And all they had to do was
Right,
build
so
a
you
new
saw the
roof.
building?
Yeah,
Cellular ammunition
Um,
storage.
I don't think Badger Arsenal did that. I don't think they ever blew up either.
well, good for
They're
them.
not making black powder though.
I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah,
they're not
black
making
powder
black
blows
powder.
up.
Yeah, black powder's pretty rough compared to modern powder.
But when
Well,
they
here's
when
the
they
thing,
moved the
again,
plant from
we
the East
really
Coast
guys
down
on
to
this.
Louisiana,
Just for the
They-
viewers, I'll just say this. Black powder explodes.
um,
Smokeless powder burns.
So when did gun cotton come into play? Because that was
We'll
around the 1860s, wasn't it?
We'll get to that, but let
Yeah,
him
I
finish
just
his
wanted to
story.
say that to the
Oh,
viewers.
sorry.
So they
Yeah.
understand
He's
what we're
got
talking
some
about.
videos. We'll pull that up later. He's got some
Yeah.
videos of gun cotton.
and
It's
black
awesome.
black powder burns, and smokeless powder also burns. It deflagrates as opposed to detonates. So an explosive or a high explosive generates a shock wave, or it's initiated or it propagates by shock wave. Black powder burns without generating that shock wave, because again, all black powder is, it's charcoal, and you take the charcoal and you pack the potassium nitrate or saltpeter. Saltpeter is one atom of potassium, one atom of nitrogen, and 3 atoms of oxygen. So you're taking the charcoal, and by adding the saltpeter, you pack all this oxygen into it. So when it ignites, you've got charcoal in the intense presence of local oxygen. It burns fast. That's all black powder is. And we still
I
use
believe
it
the effect
in
is
the
an
U-
explosion, right?
in the U.S. Army to this day. The U.S. military requirement for black powder is somewhere in the order of over 100,000 pounds per year. And we're not using it as a propellant anymore. We're not using it to launch projectiles out of barrels. Most of the military use, like you remember in Fort Benning, the drill sergeant would drop the arty sims.
Yeah.
There's a lot of black powder in those. Of course, signal charges, but the main use, like the most pounds for pounds, are in artillery propellant charges, and the intent is this little pack of black powder is the first thing that gets ignited by the primer in artillery, and that little, like maybe a pound or a half a pound of black powder ignites first, and all that burning black powder will immediately spread the flame through
Yes.
the entire length of the propellant charge, so that the slow burning artillery propellant is all ignited from one end of the powder charge to the other. It's all ignited very quickly, because otherwise it would burn from one end to the other, and it would press the propellant in front of it before it starts to burn, and you get really wild pressure curves and unpredictable trajectories. So the black powder helps the artillery propellant all ignite at once. And when the plant was on the East Coast, they were getting their charcoal from a certain supplier to make the black powder. And we had all of our tables, everything mathematically worked out. So if you're firing a 155, we know exactly where that shell is going to drop. And when the plant moved to Louisiana, the charcoal supplier also changed. They were making the charcoal slightly differently. And we found that that had an effect, a measurable effect on the trajectory of the shells. It no longer matched the old trajectory, because now the burning black powder going through the artillery propellant charge was igniting the propellant at a slightly different rate, which changed the trajectory, which meant the rounds were not dropping exactly where they were thinking they were going to drop. And that's just because they changed how they were making the charcoal from a different company for black powder.
I
And
vaguely
this is in the
remember
modern military.
in World War II, didn't Cheng Li have these problems when he was doing battleship tables? Didn't Admiral Lee kind of have that same issue that he was dealing with differential powders and things like what you just said?
I'm sure whenever anything changed, and like one contractor to another contract, especially you're talking about naval artillery,
Yeah.
where you have to be very precise, because you're shooting a 16-inch shell 19 miles away at something over the horizon. Like if you don't have confidence on where that bracket of shells lands, then you're 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 not effective.
Yeah, you're gonna hit your own guys. Let's just fucking
Aim small, miss small.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you actually look at the tube powder that they use for naval artillery, it's actually, it's a cylinder about yay big around, a couple inches around, and like 3 or 4 inches long, but it also has 7 holes drilled through it. Or when they press the slug of powder, it has 7 holes that go all the way through, and that's to control burn rate.
So
Right.
It makes more surface area. So that is what's called a progressive burning powder.
Yeah.
As opposed to regressive burning powder. So a regressive powder, think of like the stick powder. Think of like IMR 4064 or 4895.
4895. That's one of my favorite powders.
Yep. So that's what's called the regressive powder. So when that stick of gunpowder or smokeless powder ignites, it catches fire on the outside, and as it burns, it gets smaller, which means the surface area, the burning surface of that powder, as time goes on, as it's burning, the surface area gets smaller. So it's regressive burn. It get the surface of flammable powder gets smaller as time goes. So what you get is when it fires, you get an immediate spike of the greatest amount of surface area burning at once. And then as time goes on, the surface area reduces and the amount of burning substance goes down. So you get a spike and then a ski slope decline in the burn chart. So like Jake was saying, the artillery propellant, the like you would have had on a battleship, for instance. You had this piece of powder that can be, the size of your thumb or even bigger. And when it drills those holes through it, when it starts to burn inside those holes, when that burns, what happens to the hole? The hole gets bigger which means you get more surface area. At the same time, it's burning from the outside in. So that's a progressive burn so that it controls the amount of surface area. It tries to keep it more balanced, or you're creating even more surface area to burn at a given time so that
In
you
the
get
case-
even.
In the
Yeah,
case of the Battleship guns, it's to maintain a steady burn rate on
Right.
every grain of powder. Because if they have pressures, because you're dealing with, okay, so we're talking the 16-inch 50 caliber Mark 7 guns on the Iowa class battleships. We're talking 660 pounds of gunpowder for each shell.
Jesus Christ, yeah. I
They,
mean,
they one charge of powder for a high cap or an armor piercing shell on a 16-inch gun is 6 110-pound bags.
Yeah.
They have a specific number of tubes per bag. They don't just randomly they don't just fill the bags up. No, they're the powder in these bags is stacked. It's placed in there very deliberately.
Yeah.
And if they don't reach the right number of pieces of powder, and when I say pieces of powder, I'm saying half the size of a Red Bull can is 1 grain of powder. And they were dealing with chamber pressures so incredibly high that they have to very, very precisely control the burn rate so they don't have too much chamber pressure so it doesn't go kaboom. And that's exactly what happened in 1984 on board the USS Iowa in turret number 2, where, what was it, 56 sailors died? Something like that?
I think it was 20.
20
Wasn't it 20 something?
Like 26 or something. It wasn't a whole lot, but it was enough
But
to
what
be
happened?
unaccessible.
But what happened there? Okay, so they have they have semi-automatic ramming systems on those guns. So, okay, the shell comes up. It's a 2,400-pound shell. It gets put onto the loading tray, and then they ram the shell into the breech as hard as they possibly can with the chain rammer that they have. And they do that as hard as they can, so that way the driving band on the shell actually engages with the rifling in the barrel. And then they retract the rammer, and then they dump 3 bags at a time, 110-pound bags at a time onto the same loading tray, and then they use the same rammer to push the powder bags into the chamber, into the breech. What they suspect happened on board the USS Iowa to cause the turret explosion was whoever was running the rammer, there was either a malfunction with the rammer or whoever was running it wasn't skilled enough, and they ended up ramming the powder bags in at shell ramming speed instead of powder ramming speed, and they crushed the powder bags, and that threw off the pressure curve because it threw off the burn rates of the powder.
You know what they probably did was they probably crushed the grains of powder and made even more surface area.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why you want to be really careful shooting some of the old surplus like Turkish 8mm Mauser. Because they use a type of powder in that it's Hotchkiss glass flake powder.
Yep.
And it's the Germans came up with it.
Yep.
It was great powder when it came out in the 1880s. It's a very early smokeless powder, so it worked. But they're little square plates of powder.
I'm very well experienced in that because I was a poor fuck back in the day, and so I bought a bunch of Turkish surplus, and I'd go out there and I'd shoot my K98 or Gewehr 98 or Turkish Mausers, and I'm like, damn man, that fucking pounds your shoulder. You know what the fuck is going on? And it was not consistent because I was flinching or because the ammo sucked. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I took one open one time and I made a video on it. I don't know if it's still up or whatever. It was years ago. And I'm like, oh, there's like square flakes in here. Like, this is fucking weird, right? And that shit was fucking. I'm glad I was shooting 98 actions. Okay, first of all, and dude, I would shoot that and be like, I can handle a decent amount of shoulder pain, right? But I'm sitting there like, boom, fucking 50 rounds. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
what the
What
fuck?
might happen with that Turkish ammo, and the reason I specifically brought up the Turkish 8mm surplus is after 60, 70, 80 years, that nitrocellulose powder, especially if it's not stored in the right conditions, starts to break
which
down.
being
Or if
turkey.
it's shaken, those glass flakes will start to break apart. And when that
Yeah.
powder starts to break apart and form a dust instead of the plate, now
pistol
you've got pistol powder basically in there, and you can
Well-
create the super dangerously high pressures
That's it.
with yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's
like-
probably what happened on the in the
Well,
battleship gun, was when they rammed those bags,
Yep,
they
that's exactly
crushed the powder
what
grains down,
I
made
watched
more
a,
surface area.
That's
I watched
exactly
a
what the Navy
documentary on the Iowa one. It was also they had lost the institutional knowledge of operating those systems.
Yep. And after that happened, they put a moratorium on firing the 16-inch guns that
Yeah.
wasn't lifted for like 2 years.
They
So-
only lifted it because of Desert Storm.
No, it wasn't even Desert Storm. It was before Desert Storm. It was Beirut.
Oh,
182?
okay.
It was Beirut because New Jersey was actually on its way home from a deployment in somewhere Eastern Mediterranean or
Yeah.
Persian Gulf, and they were halfway across the Atlantic, and the Pentagon called and said, "You need to turn around and go to Lebanon."
Oh no, I was thinking of the Iowa specifically because
Oh,
the
yeah.
Iowa wasn't cleared to fire from that turret until Desert Storm.
The Iowa
when
never
they
fired
were
during
pounding
Desert
the
Storm.
fuck out of it. Yeah,
Iowa never fired during Desert Storm. Iowa was retired by then.
really.
Iowa was the first one retired.
Oh,
I've been
I
on
need
the
to- I need to
Iowa.
go back and look at that.
It's in Long
was a-
Beach.
there was a documentary I watched about the whole accident, and it was, and I don't know how skewed the documentary was, but they mentioned that it was the last. Maybe I'm just confusing it with the last time a battleship actually fired anything, and I think it was cruise missiles.
The USS Wisconsin was the last battleship to fire its guns in anger.
Hmm. And when was that?
Desert Storm, 1991.
Okay.
Missouri was there for the opening for the opening action of Desert Storm, and Wisconsin relieved Missouri on station.
Isn't the Navy thinking about bringing battleships back now?
They can't.
Hmm.
And the reason
I mean,
why
well, not the old battleships, but like a new class.
that would be, I've speculated on it, and talked about what I think they should do if they were to bring back some sort of battleship, but I'll leave that for a different
Well,
conversation.
and also, did you guys know that April is National Autism Awareness Month? Did you know that?
It's a good thing it's February.
I know, but I'm just gonna make you guys aware that.
Gosh,
But,
what does that have to do with anything?
Nothing. No, just a random fact. I was just throwing it out there.
Well, if this channel is
Basically,
anything, it's about raising awareness.
Basically, Iowa was pretty much retired after the turret explosion. I mean, they repaired the damage, but it didn't do much in its career after the turret explosion.
You know, and we all know the reason for the Iowa explosion. It was a closeted homosexual sailor that blew everybody up, according to the Navy.
No, not up. It just blew everybody.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh.
But yeah, New Jersey was the next one retired after Iowa, and then Missouri, and then Wisconsin.
Okay.
Wisconsin was the last one to fire its guns in anger during Desert Storm, and yay for Wisconsin. Wisconsin
Were they filled with cheese? Was it a cheese round?
I hope
could have
so.
been.
That would have
Well,
stunk
Wisconsin-
the high heavens in the fucking desert of a fucking Iraq or
Oh,
Kuwait.
God, just leave a battleship's worth of cheddar just hanging around the
Just
desert.
fucking rotting out there. They're like, we can't do it. No.
That's why they lit the
alone.
oil fields on fire. They wanted to smell something different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, after 1953, Wisconsin was actually known as whiskey.
Oh yeah, the Kentucky bow.
Yeah, because they ran into the USS Eaton, a Fletcher class destroyer. Was it Fletcher or was it a Sumner? Not Sumner. Oh, what fuck came after the Fletchers? But they ran into the USS Eaton off the East Coast in 1953 in a fog bank. Almost cut the entire bow off the destroyer, and took a huge chunk out of the
imagine
lower
the
portion of
destroyer
the.
came off badly on that one.
Surprisingly, surprisingly, there was no injuries.
Good.
Oh.
Good.
But yes, it hit the Wisconsin hit the destroyer broadside, right between the two forward turrets on the destroyer, right between the number one and number one and two.
And they were going probably half speed at least.
I think they were doing 12 to 15 knots.
That'll do it.
In the fog, they were definitely doing under 20.
Yeah.
But there was also the fact that an Iowa class battleship is like a 55,000 ton ship.
Yeah.
Dude, they're fucking huge.
And that's a lot of mass. Like that's
and a destroyer is 1,500 tons.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you guys?
And on top of that, like I said, the Wisconsin almost cut the bow off of that destroyer because the destroyer is only 15 feet wide, 20 feet wide. They're not very wide.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Nantucket Lightship. Yeah. Master Video Studios is bringing up the when the Olympic rammed into the Nantucket Lightship.
So has Mike seen the Civil War Digest vid?
I think I brought it. Yeah, I think I showed it on here before.
Yeah, the guy that did the from 1861 to 65,
Yep.
Yeah, I have
one of the videos I brought it up on here.
That's why I chose what I'm going to be putting together from that, and it's going to be that Hardy hat and a bunch of other cool shit. So Lorenz will be involved.
Trey, I thought you said Avery was going to come on.
I messaged him. He said that he had stuff pop up. So, but he is interested in coming on.
Yeah, I talked to him about it too. But it's I'm getting the same Hardy hat, but I'm gonna do between Antietam and Gettysburg for the 2nd Wisconsin B Company. And so I'm gonna have the frock coat, but I'm gonna have some newer gear. Some pieces are gonna be newer looking, all that shit. You guys will see it. It'll be fun. So, yeah.
And Manners won't come on, the little weasel.
Well, he's British. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less.
Yeah, and I don't know where Digi is tonight. I think he's passed out, but he's going to be getting on a plane tomorrow to fly back to Britlandia.
Oh God, no!
Oh,
that poor guy.
Why is he going back? Why is he going back to British, Dan?
Because his mom is poorly.
Is she taking a turn, or is this something planned?
It was a planned trip, but his mom's 93 years old.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I've got to jump off myself, guys. So
you're good, Trey.
Do you have something higher than a second story window to jump off of?
Nah, unfortunately not.
Because all of that facial hair is not going to save you without just the mustache.
It's a security blanket. It'll help me.
All right, dude. We'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Have a good night.
Yes, sir.
Bye.
Yeah, Manners. Yeah, we'd love you to be on here with us.
Yeah, pretty easy. But
you tea guzzler.
Well, to be fair,
I've actually never seen, as much as I've interacted with him over the last year, I've never seen Digi's face.
I have.
Oh, it's not good.
No,
well,
no.
I mean, look at what's going on right now.
Well, I know, but if I'm saying that, I mean, let's be honest here.
So Digi
when the canine on the stream is the most handsome man available. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
well, it is a Dachshund. Dachshunds are very handsome dogs.
Mm-hmm.
This is big black wiener, so that's what we call them.
Well, it's the right month for that.
Oh, it is. It's February. Yeah. No, but like the first time Digi
Oh, I
was
was
ever on a.
gonna say, well, no, we don't do that anymore. There was an executive order. That's
No, that was just for the
Okay.
military.
well for the feds.
Dude, so
Yeah.
Augie, the first time Digi came on,
It's
like
so
we had been going for
sleepy.
like an hour and a half, 2 hour, and Digi comes on and he starts talking and he starts smiling because he's laughing. I said, "Oh, I 150 fucking percent believe you're British."
Oh God!
So Digi used to be in rock bands. He's in his
Yeah.
50s and he used to be in rock bands and he looks like it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
And you know
fucking
what?
hilarious.
a British man in his 50s. That was punk rock. It had to have been punk
Oh,
rock.
oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he's also done DJing and
that wasn't a rock band. That was a gang that occasionally played instruments.
and when they weren't playing instruments, they were swilling tea.
Yeah, tea. Yeah.
Manners, you should come on, dude. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
we've
I'm
got
telling you.
room. We're only 2 hours into this, man.
Oh,
Brett's
I
got
just
another
saw-
hour.
I just saw the letters. I just saw the letters BBW, and now I'm aroused.
Big black wiener
I was thinking the other one.
wearing a coat.
Oh, yeah, you're one of those guys. I respect it because here's the thing: is every time we went out back in my early 20s, we'd have a guy who we called let's call him Ted for this one, right? And there's always like the group of hot chicks that are out there partying, getting hammered, and there's always the designated fat friend, the DFF, right? If she doesn't get attention, nobody else does. Our buddy Ted happened to be into bigger chicks, and there's nothing wrong with that at all.
They have to be curvy. There has to be like some shape involved.
He would constantly deny it because he was like, we didn't ever give him shit for it, really, like, to be honest. But like, he would take that, and then my friends, and I was one of those idiots that was like, I'm in a relationship, I love her, she loves me. She didn't, I didn't.
Yeah.
But like, so he would take one for the team, and then that was that. So I have no problem with that.
Augie years ago didn't care if she had 4 stomachs and a bell around her neck. He was just looking for yes.
Yes. Well, I totally get it. I totally get it.
At the very minimum, unconsciousness.
Well, that Your Honor,
that was a joke. For legal purposes, that was a joke.
Your Honor, I mean, strike that from the record, please.
The absence of a no.
No, but back in the day, dude, it was a lot different. Like, people would just like
stop.
Right, exactly. And it's like back in the day, it was a little bit different than now. And I feel bad for like the young kids now because like it's like I got the very tail end of that shit.
I wouldn't know. Like I wouldn't know what the hell to do with myself.
No, man.
Just
like,
priesthood.
We used to go out like
screw it. I give up.
You go out, you get trashed at a bar. Okay, you know that there's a chance of getting laid, right? Whether you're a girl or a guy or whatever, it like doesn't matter. That was back in like the early 2010s. That's kind of when it started changing, is like the mid 2010s. So you go back and like there were guys that I knew who were like, I probably shouldn't have slept with her. Not like a rape thing, but like they were just like, God, man, she's a fucking basket case. I don't want her calling me every fucking day. And then they would, and then they're like, oh shit. And then there was chicks that would be like, I kind of wish I wouldn't have slept with your friend. And I'm like, well, that's your issue. Like, it happened. Like, we all got trashed, and it is what it is. It just happened. And it wasn't like this big fucking deal of like ending your life, like ending your career and everything. It was just like, I got drunk. I did something, but like, it's like you're going to persecute somebody because you made a mistake,
I feel like, so my nephew's Gen Z. He's just now entering. Well, actually, is he Gen Z? He's just now entering a trade school for college.
Yeah, he'd be Gen Z. Yep.
Okay, so they actually have. I feel like Gen Z actually is like coming back on balance
Yeah.
Because the millennials that I know have no clue how to interact with people. Like
It's interesting.
It's just a very different dynamic. But the Gen Z kids that I know, just a few, not a lot anymore, but they seem a lot more grounded, a lot more, I don't know, like
to me, it's about 50-50, like with any generation. It's like,
yeah,
I think half of them are grounded and they see through the bullshit.
They're used to the technological aspect of it, like with Skype and dating apps and things like that. I think they realize more that that's not real life.
No.
Yeah, that's the millennial generation that's really fucked up by electronic communications.
Yeah.
Well, but also here's the thing: is like what I've observed in like everybody's like, oh, Gen Z, the kids today. Now, there's a lot of really good Gen Z people who are working their asses off. They're fucking going.
There's a bunch of 60 and 70-year-olds that said the same thing about us when we were coming up.
That's what I'm saying. It's not new. It's not new. It happens every fucking generation, right? So there are some Gen Z people who I believe are like fucking basket cases because of technology. Because like, I guess the old adage I always do is like a boomerism is like, I grew up with the internet and they grew up in the internet. And I can't imagine growing up in the internet. We had it, and it already fucked us up enough,
Yeah, I'm gonna show my age here. I actually grew up before the internet.
Well, I remember when it came out. Yeah, I'm 47 right now.
Damn, you're the old man here.
I didn't have really functional internet until 2002, 2003 when I was already in high school.
I am that meme of the grandma and the walker being like, when I was a kid, the internet came through the phone and it sounded like an invasion from aliens.
Which it did. Yeah. Remember dial-up? Yeah, 56K.
I miss the old AOL CDs because they were such great targets.
Also good posters.
I used to have like hundreds, like literally I'd have stacks of them and be like,
they
oh,
just
my
show
free
up in the mail.
AOL ran out, time to throw in a new one.
Yeah, but yeah, getting back to the Gen Z, I've noticed this, especially Augie in the Discord that we met in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Gen Z kids in there. I don't even want to use kids. There's a lot of Gen Z people in there that are just really, really fucking smart people.
Yes.
Yeah. And they understand how the world works.
Their bullshit meters are very tuned in.
Yes.
Yes, and we had a lot more room for error, and it cost us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's weird. Like, I never thought that I lived in exceptional times. Like all the big inventions already happened by the time I came around. And then I kind of stop and I look at it through my nephew's eyes and through, my younger nieces, who are one of whom's, 3. And I look at it through their eyes and it's like, oh, no, the internet was probably like the biggest innovation, like never mind going to the moon. Like it's up there, if not more so.
Yes, I agree.
And it's just because it happened while I was coming up, I'm like, oh, it was just a thing that happened.
Yeah, but it's something that's really never happened before. Like, what? Right. Okay, so right now, without the internet, us 4 would not be talking right now. Okay,
we never would have met.
And exactly, and we also would be talking
Mike and I
with people who were in the. Well, yeah, we would have, unfortunately. Like, hey, buddy.
But we would have never reconnected.
Correct. It would have been like pen pals at best, but like probably not. And like,
no.
And so, I think it's a yin and yang kind of situation where it's like it's half good, half bad, depends on how people use it, right? And I've noticed that with Gen Z, right? I don't hate Gen Z. I think they're actually pretty cool fucking people. A lot of them are very smart.
I hate some of them
I enjoy
because
Gen Z a hell of a lot more than I enjoy millennials. I work with a lot of millennials.
Well, I'm just gonna go to my safe space then.
No.
No, but I'm fucking
Augie. Augie, at least we're not boomers.
Oh, well, let's not get going on the boomers. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Let's not. I don't want to.
I have my foot in both camps. As a Gen Xer, I have my foot in both camps here.
I
where
was
I'm
raised
like,
by boomers as a
I'm
millennial.
bad at
so-
technology, but I don't
I
trust the
was too.
government. So it's like I don't fit in anywhere.
Yeah, and in my career field, all I work with are boomers.
Yeah.
You know,
Anyway,
I-
so to actually like tout Gen Z, and what I've observed, especially my Discord server, is that most of these guys are really cool people. They're
Yeah.
very cool. They're like I was, but they're less douchey because again, like their bullshit meter is smaller, right?
Exactly.
And it's
exactly.
like they can see through the bullshit. They know
Yeah.
what to do, and they're gonna make it. However, the ones who are bad are fucking awful. Holy
Right.
yes,
fucking
Right.
shit, man! Like they,
But is
yeah.
that? I feel like that's on people my age. Like that's on the Gen Xers.
and the boomers, yeah.
You
Yep.
know, like
I would actually put it on Gen X and millennials because there's a lot of single millennial mothers.
That's very true. Yeah, I can't argue that.
Yeah.
I cannot argue that. But I would say that like, you know, the ones who are bad are really fucking bad. And the ones who are like good, man, they're really
They're
gonna go
really
far.
fucking
Like,
yeah. They're really,
really
fucking
good.
you know what they need? The only thing they need is an older class of people with a goal to give them.
That's
You're like,
here's the thing.
here's the objective.
Here's the
That's
thing.
what I've been trying to do.
You're just a lot more angry about it than I am. But like so in our Discord server, for example, this is just one little tiny piece of the world, right? There's been some Gen Zers that come in and they'll just ask a question or whatever. And instead of just like berating the fuck out of them, we go, "Do you want the actual answer? Because it's really intricate. It's got a lot of steps to it, and whatever." And they go,
To
"Yes."
use their word, it's nuanced.
Yeah.
It's nuanced. No, but that's I use that more.
And dude, but we're willing to give and like mentor the people and go, "Here's how we fucked up." Because guess what? We're not perfect. Jake and I and Brett and we're not perfect.
Well,
Right,
Augie, End Commander on the other Discord that we're on, I've actually been DMing with him, trying to give him guidance on, okay, how do you get through this 19, 20, 21-year-old period that you're stuck in right now?
Right. I'm
You know,
actually
I have a lot of empathy for that age group, especially the Gen Z men, young men in the 18 to 21 year age group, because they don't know what they don't know what they're supposed to do. They don't know where they're going to go with their lives. They don't know.
And you know
they've had none of that guidance.
They're told that if you don't go to college, if you're not doing XYZ, if you're not sitting in an office, you've failed. It's like the only time I've spent at a college is to go party with my buddies who are going there. Like, but I'm not a dumb guy. I just chose a different path, and it's completely
again, really quick. I want to make this caveat, and then I have to go take a monstrous piss. I'll still listen, but like I've been holding it for a while. I think that the Gen Zers who have it figured out a little bit, they realize that education does not equal intelligence.
If you're going to a traditional college as a Gen Zer, you're retarded. Somebody has failed you.
Yes.
My nephew is going to be a welder. Like that's what he's doing. And he grew up in urban Massachusetts. And he looked around and he's like, "No, this shit doesn't work. I ain't doing that."
And that's what I told End Commander. End Commander, I don't want to dox him too much, but he lives in Newport News.
Oh, 100%. Go in the shipyards, make $1 million.
Exactly. That's what I've told him. I'm like, dude, there's tech schools all around you where you can go and get a welding cert. Go get your welding. Go
to a union hall. Go to SIU. They'll start you off as an OS. You'll go be an AB. And SIU isn't the best union in the face of the earth, but it's going to put $60,000 in your pocket,
right out of the door.
4 years out the gate.
But he
You
could
know,
he could go
consistently for
he
3 or
could
4
go get
years.
he could go get a 1-year welding cert from a local tech school
Yeah.
and then walk into Newport News shipyards and get a job as a welder on day 1
Go be a
and
general laborer, for Christ's sake.
be making $35,000-$40,000 a year as a 21-year-old.
And the other thing too, and this is where I'm going to break from a lot of people right now, like get into telework. You know, if you have the personality for it and you live in an area with digital infrastructure, market yourself as a teleworker. You know, data analysis and things like that. Like you don't need, there are avenues you can do in the modern day that don't require you to put yourself 250 grand in debt first.
Brendan,
Don't live in a goddamn city.
Brendan, yes, there actually is a demand for gunsmiths. The problem is that gunsmiths only get business if they are reputable. And you can't become reputable unless you've got years of experience running your own business under your belt. My gunsmith that I sent, I got a rifle hiding back there on that one right there. He built that rifle for me, and it has parts on it that exist nowhere else in the world because he is networked with the manufacturers of all those parts. He knows the owners of all those companies. He's been in business for 20 years and he's my age. I'm 39. He's a couple of years older than me. He's been in business for 20 years. He has literally international clientele. Some of the people that he works on their rifles go big game hunting in Africa.
And just have imagination. Look at Brandon Herrera.
Yeah.
You know, that dude's still in his 20s. He had a goal, he was driven, and he had imagination on how to get there. You know, look at the AK-50. You know, we can look at Brandon
I hope
Herrera
he puts that in
like,
production.
You know, we can look at him as just some internet guy, blah blah blah. But
I got a lot of respect for the guy.
The amount of brain power and engineering that went into the AK-50 is fucking huge.
Yeah, he's a Gen Zer, and like I don't like the internet culture, I guess, per se. I'm kind of a boomer in that respect. But like
right.
He's commented on my shit. He's been very, very cordial and everything like that. And I'm sure if I met him in real life, we would get along. It'd be fine. But like, yeah, I mean, he is a fucking genius at what he does. And he's a master troll as well. Oh, dude, autism, I think Germany started it and we're getting it spread here in the US like a motherfucker. So that's my opinion. It's not an actual fact.
Some of the guys in the chat were saying, I just lost the, hang on a second. You know, they got, oh God. Yeah, they got hit over the head with college. I had the same thing. My dad grew up in Massachusetts. My dad, straight off the boat from Italy, you know, with nothing, just the shirt on his back, and had a knack for languages. Now he speaks 7 languages.
Oh God, you're a wop.
100%.
I'm gonna go ahead and
tell by his name.
We can't be doing this. Like, we can't be doing this.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell by his name.
My beginning and last names begin and end with vowels.
Well, so do the French. How the fuck am I supposed to know?
Oh,
but he also has the Roman nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Well, so do I. Look at this. I'm not Italian at all, and I've got this because it got broken twice.
But no, I mean, he got trapped by the education industrial system. He was a teacher for 30 years, and when I said as a teen that I was going to enlist, and I had no interest in college because at that point I wasn't focused enough on school. It would have gone right over my head. I wouldn't have paid attention.
But
and
I
when I said that
firsthand as well, yes.
When I said that I was joining the Coast Guard, because at the time in '96. I was like, well, I want to join the military, but war is awful. Even as a teenager, I know that as much as I love glorifying it. So I'll go in the Coast Guard, and I get
put
to
a straw in a cup of olive oil and blow for your name.
I love it. I love it.
That's fucking funny. Yeah, that's fucking funny. That's real.
Virginia
fucking funny.
reenactor, why are you not a part of Mike's Discord?
That is awesome.
Put a straw in a cup of olive oil and blow for your name. That's so fucking funny.
Although he did miss an obvious opportunity. Instead of a straw, a piece of dry pasta.
Yeah, linguine.
Which
I bought today.
One that didn't get cut, you know. It's just like, oh, let's do it.
My wife is English and French. Well, I mean, mostly she's Mainer, but English and French. And
Go down, you stupid fuck! Like, what are you
when
doing?
she started coming to family holidays, she's like, "Why is there a pasta dish with everything?" I'm like, Happy Thanksgiving. Here's some lasagna.
I had to swear off pasta because it was making me fat.
Yes. Well,
I've just decided I like carbs too much to ever be skinny.
Well, so do I, but like, I mean, obviously, look at this thing. I got 3 fucking chins. But like,
so she has a superiority complex. Nah, because down Eastern Maine, they kind of beat that out of you.
Have we talked about it, Brett? Like, have you ever done like a fucking DNA test or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I'm 102% Scandinavian and Northern European with a 2% margin of error.
No.
No, I'm English, Norwegian, and German.
Okay, so yeah, you're just Northwest European.
Yeah. I come in 2 colors. Either get Frosty the Snowman or boiled lobster.
Yeah,
that's my line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey,
I
Brett,
say glow in the dark.
You'll be interested to know that I am 50% French and German, almost equally at 25 each, right? So I'm from like the northern part of Germany and France.
So you hate yourself?
Yes, absolutely. I'm 20% Polish and Lithuanian, right? Which is fun, very fun.
Kaliningrad.
I'm like, what?
Kaliningrad.
Yeah.
It's
Polish is European Texas.
No, Ukraine is European Texas, but okay. Anyway, and then it's like 5% like Norwegian, whatever, all this shit, English, that whole thing, and then hey, I'm more Native American than Elizabeth Warren is, believe it or not. I've got 1%
that doesn't take
Native
much.
American.
So is King Charles.
Yeah. So I'm 1% Native American. Booyah. And I definitely actually don't ever claim that because it's not. It's 1%. Who gives a fuck? But and then my wife, we did her little test. She's like almost, I think she's like 85% Norwegian, like Northern Norwegian. It was like, here we go. This is the DNA.
Like Nazis can't say no to redheads.
No, they can't. They can't.
So I am 25% Polish. I'm 1/8 German, and basically the rest is English with a little bit of Irish.
Oof.
I'll be right back. I gotta get beer. This scotch is killing me.
That's a true chief. That's a true chief.
No,
So
it's not. The true chief would have never admitted that he was in pain.
My mother's maiden name is Fluhrer. Fluhrer. And this is a true story. If I go upstairs and dig it out, I can prove it. They misspelled my mother's name on my birth certificate. It says my mother's name is Führer. I'm serious.
So were you born like this?
Zig!
Yeah, the Elon Musk.
That was do you know? I think that was so fucking funny he did that because it's like he knew he was gonna get a reaction, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter at this point right now, currently in history. He should. I wish
Sir
he would.
Francis Drake has arrived.
I wish he would have started it out with Zig. I just wish he. You know what I mean? I did do the whole
From
thing.
my
YouTube.
heart.
It's not fucking racist. There's nothing. There's no any of that shit. But like, I wish he would have started it with that. That would have made
The
it a lot
worst-
better.
The
Did
worst
you
part
guys
about
see-
the
I don't
worst
wanna
part
get
about being
political,
German
but-
and Austrian, I can't find the final solution in a math problem.
Ouch.
Holy
Holy fuck! That's amazing. I can't.
These
Holy fuck!
these jokes really strike home personally because I had an ancestor die in one of the German camps.
Which tower did he fall out of?
Yeah, he fell out of one of the towers.
That's an old
That's one of the
one.
oldest jokes in the book.
I
My
did
God,
have
Brett.
cousins on the other side.
Oof. Well.
More of them in the First World War, though.
Oh god damn! I'm lightheaded from laughing at that fucking.
Holy shit. You have won the internet today, sir.
Yeah, Andrew Schultz, fucking for the win. You win. Damn. Oh my god, that was fucking.
I don't know where we can go from there. I think it's all downhill from there.
We can
We're
start
all
talking
getting
about skull
canceled.
shapes. We can start talking about skull shapes if you want to go that route.
I'm
Are
screwed.
we the baddies?
I have the squarest Prussian head of all of you.
Yeah, it's because you're wearing a fucking kepi.
Oh
I
my
mean, that's
God.
not fair. It's not fair.
Frankie, what are you doing?
Mine's a fucking round, like Polish potato head, basically. My whole
I don't
skull.
know what I don't know what I have. I
You
have
got
a
a flounder head, and I don't know where the fuck that comes from, but it's not good. I mean,
It's gotta be the German. It's probably Bavarian. It's like southern Germany,
I
like
don't.
Black Forest.
It's not good. Why would you insult them like that? Like if you don't know.
No, Frankie, don't disconnect me from stream. No.
But I need to push the buttons.
Yeah. Well, he was just, when I opened my beer, he's like, oh, beer. He likes beer for some reason.
Oof. That's not good.
I've
God,
raised you
there he
right.
goes again. Remember, everyone asked me if I'm autistic. It's the German making sure the cattle trains run on time.
What are you thinking about?
We're sinking. We're sinking.
This is the German Coast Guard.
That was one of the best fucking commercials ever, in my opinion. Like that was. We're sinking. We're sinking. What?
I don't know what commercial you're talking about.
Well, I'm not gonna play it because we'll get copyright fucking.
Yeah,
nailed.
yeah. It was for some comms company.
Well, no, it's for it was for like a kind of Rosetta Stone, like learn language. It was from
Hey,
whatever the fuck, and they were like, basically the gist of it is, there's this guy, like a German guy wearing a uniform on a ship, and then you hear, "Mayday, mayday, we're sinking, help us!" And he goes, "What? Are you sinking about?" Berlitz, I believe it was Berlitz. If you want to go look that up, I'm not going to do it on here, but like, it was fucking hilarious. Like, what are you singing? Oh God!
What are you
so
thinking
I
about?
want to point out, just I don't think you're, for the naval oriented in your audience. My two kittens' names are Sir Francis Drake and Captain Nathaniel Bowditch. And Francis Drake was an English explorer in the Northeast who despised the Spanish, fought
The
several,
best kind.
was a privateer against them for Queen Elizabeth on several occasions. And Nathaniel Bowditch is known as the father of American practical navigation. And he wrote the American Practical Navigator. And he was out of Salem, Massachusetts. And he was an insurance adjuster before he became a sailor. And he is known for being a mathematician and a all-around nerd. So, topical to nothing, but
Nerd!
I wanted to talk about my cat.
We're all a bunch of fucking nerds. Like Jake's wearing a fucking Hardy hat.
Yeah.
Like we're all.
I'm about to put my Chiefs hat on backwards now because why not?
Well, I was wearing my. Did you see I was wearing my shit fucking Pogue beret?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
with the unit
Personal
crest and everything
drug.
like that. It's like
yeah. That's a nice unit crest, though.
I love our unit crest is fucking.
Dude, I'm jelly. Like the Coast Guard does not do unit crests. Like
Well, 'cause
we're
you're so
very
fucking small,
bad at
dude.
it.
Like it's like
Does the Coast Guard even have more than 8 people on it at any one time?
Yeah, dude. Time of war. We have like 12.
hey,
You
Brett,
activate your reserve.
Yeah. Yeah, the 4 guys in the fucking radio tower.
Brett, how many unit crests have you gone through since you've been in? Like on your dress uniform or whatever.
Yeah, so officers
I don't know if he can count that high.
don't.
Oh no,
So
officers don't wear the unit crest, right?
yeah, so I had one. I had
Well,
the.
officers aren't people, though, are they?
No, they're
I
not.
had one when I was in E4 in that it was the 419th CSSB, which traced its lineage back to either I think a World War One unit, and it has a deer on it, like a European style German artistic deer, and a key, and it says first in service underneath it. It is a logistics unit.
So, but yeah,
Hey,
it's
now,
not-
Virginia
But yeah,
reenactor, I
officers
will have
don't
you
have
know,
the
we are
unit
not
in the unit
civilians.
crests.
We're less than that.
Jesus.
I still think you got to go back to the Treasury Department.
Revenue cutters.
Yeah, give us
No, the
money.
Coast Guard, like, here's the thing is like, it's the old adage of like, somebody from the Marines calls an Army guy a faggot, and we're like, go fuck yourself, you fucking child.
Oh,
And then
No, we
you know,
just call the Marines sailors.
and then
God.
we start making fun of the Navy and the Air
That's the
Force
worst.
and the Coast Guard, and all of a sudden somebody says fuck the US military, we go, you're dead.
Oh yeah,
Like
dude,
that's it.
I've had, and I know you're just kidding. I love it. I love the back and forth.
Well, no, but like we call you guys
I've been in
tunnel
a group
pirates.
of
We've talked about
Marines
this.
where I was
Yeah.
the only coastie, and they were giving me a ration of shit. I was an E4 at the time, like just nonstop ration of shit, and some fucking civilian walks by and be like, "Oh, Coast Guard, you suck," and those Marines were like rabid. They're like, "Motherfucker, get back here! I'll kill you,
Dude, yeah, fuck. We would have done the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
no, we'll razz you. We'll give you shit. We'll drink with you. We'll have fun.
We'll only razz them a little bit though, because we all recognize that the Coast Guard's fucking
Yeah.
awesome.
Dude, their standards are but the
been
standards that you guys have are like higher than the Marine Corps, in my opinion. Like the standards that you guys have to get in are higher. Like it's fucking nasty.
It's getting a little worse now because we, like everybody else, we're suffering from that manpower shortage.
Yeah, I suppose. So.
And a lot of people are upset the way Admiral Fagan was fired, and I get it, but she really wasn't doing anything effective to, like we had underway units that were shuttered. We had cutters that were being put in special commission status because there was no people to man them, and she was doing nothing about it.
Oh, that's not good.
And I wouldn't have dismissed her the way that it happened. I would have given her a chance to fix it, based on the old administration versus the new and priorities.
Sure.
However, I will say, just from people that I know that are still active, she was not doing anything effective to stem the bleeding.
That's kind of how we felt when Jake and I got out. It's like, oh, they're not actually out for us.
No, they didn't give two shits about the troops.
So we were just like, fuck it, we're done. We cut our losses, and
So the last time I wore a uniform, was at the last reintegration drill in Marshfield in 2010, and our company commander, Captain Johansson, called all of the guys who were separating all the guys who had been on stop loss throughout the entire deployment in 2009, and I was one of them, called us all in because he had a memo to get to read to us, and we had to sign a counseling statement saying that we had received this memo. So he hands me the memo, I read it, and he's like, "Do you have any questions?" I signed the counseling statement saying that I'd received the memo and I'd read it and understood it. It's like, "Do you have any questions? Do you want to re-enlist?" Because the memo was basically saying, well, you can re-enlist and not have to pay back any of your stop-loss pay that you received on deployment.
That's generous.
And here I am. I'm an E3 because I had been demoted like 6 months earlier.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yep.
To be fair, I would have demoted you too.
But I was an E4. I'd been given a field grade Article 15 in theater, and so I am. I'm an E3. I've been in for 7.5 years, and this is the last time that I'm putting on a uniform before I'm done with the military at all ever. And I look at this. I look at the 03 who just hands me this counseling statement. Who, okay, yeah, he's my company commander. But I wasn't under his command for the last year.
Right.
I was under a sister company's command for the last year. And I look at him square in the eye and I say to him, why would I want to re-enlist?
Yeah, what are you doing for it?
Who here has asked me to re-enlist?
Look at the retirement right now. Who would want to do 20 under the new retirement rules? Fucking mouth breathers, that's who. You're going to get morons that do 20. Bad leaders and morons.
Not only that, but the military is actively, for the last 15 to 20 years, I would say the military was actively promoting the morons.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
And driving out anybody who had some spark of
There's one right below me, like
motivation.
His name is Brett. They're actively promoting morons. Oh, he's covering his face in shame.
No, he's demonstrating the morality.
Look, I don't want to be black-pilled or be cynical, because I really feel that cynicism.
It's not cynicism; it's realism.
No, I get it. I get it.
It's a crossover, though. I agree. It's a crossover.
It's just I don't like cynicism because you've given up all hope that anything will ever be better. And I don't like that. But however, Jay, you're 100% correct. It's realism. Like, what direction are we going in? And do I have the capability of either A, putting up with it, or B, changing it? And it really, in the modern day, like if you want to do 4 or 6 years and get your education benefits, great. If you're going to do 20, I got to say, you got to get your head examined, because they've completely changed the retirement. They've completely changed the benefits. In order to get promoted, and I'm speaking strictly in the enlisted side,
you have to be buddies with your chain of command in order to get promoted these days.
Yeah.
You're not going to get promoted on merit. It's just not going to happen anymore.
Coast Guard promotions are a little bit different. We don't do boards. We don't do promotion boards. It is strictly...
We didn't either. As of 2008, they stopped doing that.
I did an E5 promotion board
boards
once.
Are probably the most corrupt thing I've ever heard of in the military. I do not like that concept.
I did an E5 promotion board once, and it was literally a month after I pinned on E4. It was my first. It was my first drill back with Bravo Company after my first deployment, and we went to Fort McCoy, and all the E4s were going through the promotion board, and they're like,
"We have an E4 in the vice president's office right now."
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too, because it's like
did you guys see what he told Europe the other day?
Really quick, like Brett and I had this conversation the other night on a stream. Is like, if you really want to know what the fuck is going on as like upper management,
talk to E4s.
Talk to E4s and below.
Look at retention rates. Like, even if you don't want to talk to people, look at retention rates.
Just go around the smoke pit. Like, so in the Army, like we've got places with designated smoking areas, right? We were talking about this on the one stream that we had that was fucking epic. And so a bunch of E4s and below go out there and they just rip fucking heaters. They're monkey fucking them, you know, one after the other. And so it's like they're just sitting out there bitching about everything. Just fucking this goddamn cocksucking piece of shit, fucking faggot, fucking, you know, lieutenant or sergeant or, you know,
or
yeah, exactly. It's like, and then I think the smart, like upper NCOs and officers would just go and kind of hide behind and
just listen.
Yeah.
Not to persecute. If you're a piece of shit, you're going to persecute. Yeah.
So
but, yeah.
I got persecuted as an E5. I was bitching about a decision one time, and I had a fucking snake E7 who was around the corner. I didn't even know. Tell the fucking E9 what I said.
Yeah.
Who had been my roommate because his wife kicked him out, and I was the only person that was financially stable enough to have a fucking house that was big enough to have a roommate. And the E9's bitching me out, and I'm like, I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at the E7. I'm like, this almost ended my career early, and this is in 06. And I was like, all I'm seeing is a bunch of cowards. One coward ratted on me because he didn't want to tell me to shut up, and another coward is fucking mad at me because he's a piece of shit.
Bingo. Bing fuck you. Yes.
And that was enlisted. You know, the senior people focus on the senior officers being disconnected.
No,
E8s and E9s
are
E9s
are
it's the senior NCOs. Well, not even. It's just the NCOs in general.
Because I know one active duty E9 in the Coast Guard that's worth a damn. He's a personal friend of mine. He does the legitimate truth to power. He just told an admiral that this admiral had this whole speech, and he was going to tell his command about Admiral Fagan's firing and all this. And my buddy went up to him and he said, "Listen, the only person in this room that gives a shit about that is you. Nobody else gives a damn. Fair. I'm here to. You can make your speech. I'm not telling you what to do, sir, but it's going to have negative consequences because nobody trusts you guys."
Damn, that's brass.
And he was like,
balls. Yeah.
And this dude's an E9. He's been in for almost 30 years. Telling this to a 2-star, and a 2-star looked at him. He was like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "I don't know," because my buddy's not one of those gold badge fucking admiral lickers. He's an operational guy at an operational unit, and this 2-star was visiting. And my buddy told me, he's like, "Listen, I don't know what your enlisted is telling you, but nobody has respect for the officer corps in the Coast Guard. Like, absolutely. Commander and above, nobody has respect for you."
Yeah.
And this guy was like, "Really?" He's like, "How is this news?"
That's here's the thing. That's real talk.
Right.
That's
I'll text you the next job my buddy is having. I'll text it to you, and it gives me a little bit more faith in the service.
Cool. That's good because Brett we were talking about this the other night, like to a lesser extent, but it's the same concept of like the enlisted. It seems like the enlisted just go, we have no fucking power. Like we can't say a goddamn thing without getting completely destroyed by the upper enlisted guys who are out of touch. And then, however, when I was in, my unit did commander huddles, right? So we would do this like most drill weekends, right? We'd have the O3. Everybody who was not an E4 or below was out of the fucking room. It was our commander and us. And we were like, there was the guys who had deployed, and there was a lot of them who hadn't. And he would say, "Hey, what's going on? What do you think about this weekend?" All that shit. And it'd just be quiet because the lower enlisted that just got out of basic hadn't been deployed. We're like real quiet, you know. And I would just be like, "Well, I got nothing to lose. I don't give a fuck." I'm like, "Sure."
Yeah.
I said, so this is fucked up. You know, I would say it was fucked up. I'm like, this is how it was fucked up. This is why it was fucked up. And I don't think that you guys were like on task with this one. And he'd write it down in his book. He really would. It wasn't a punishment thing. This is after Jake got out, by the way.
Yeah.
And so like he would write that down and be like, oh, I didn't know that happened. I'm like, yeah, because nobody wants to fucking tell you. Of course.
Right.
And I'm like, but I'm telling you right now, like, what the fuck do I have to lose?
When the flag officers get to pick their E9s, that's a fucking problem.
It should be a meritocracy, in my opinion.
It shouldn't even be a meritocracy when it comes to flag officers picking their E9s. It should be whoever is available and whoever is next in line.
Well, that's what I mean by meritocracy. Is like whoever's the most qualified for the job should get it. It shouldn't be like, well,
ideally, it should be that command's mess. In the Navy and the Coast Guard, E7 and above, we call it the chief's mess. Ideally, it should be that command's mess saying like, "Hey, here are some candidates."
Yeah,
and then talking about it. Yeah,
basically you're selected by your peers. Your peers tell the hires up.
Again, I'll go back to meritocracy because it's like if you go, this person has been doing a great job. We've noticed it. They've been doing this, and this. Yeah, they got some weaknesses. Everybody's got fucking weaknesses. Everybody fucking does. It's just the way it is. But if you go, okay, well, I think this person would be really good in this position, and they should be promoted to have the rank and be in this position, then do it. Just fucking do it.
Well, like, and there's a two-pronged thing because not only is that person good, but you also have to pair them with a personality that they can complement. It can't be a cookie cutter thing,
dude.
You can't put an E9 that is an establishment E9 with a general who doesn't buck the trend. You can't do it because they're not going to be compromising each other, or they're not going to be like giving another viewpoint.
The system is entrenched to produce establishment senior leaders
100%.
because we have a zero defect assumption.
Yes.
At least in the Army.
Yes. That's
where you make
problem.
one mistake and the hammer drops on you and your career is done.
I wouldn't want to be especially
everyone walks around with risk aversion and how do I protect my career? Because
100%.
one person, like your raider or senior raider, if you make one mistake, and there are some mistakes that should be a career ender. Don't get me wrong. There are some things that if you are truly, really negligent to
if you really fuck up
an unpardonable extent, then yes, your career should end.
Yeah.
One of the things that should not be.
Jake, hold on. Let Brett finish.
No, I was just going to say that you are. Like if you're an 03 and you're going for your 04 board and you have a bad OER, which is the officer evaluation report, just one in your stack, the board's probably not going to recommend you. And if you don't get recommended for major, your career end, you're toast. So the people who make it to 05, 06, and then to the stars and multi-star especially are people who either are fantastically lucky, they just had the stars line up, the red carpet rolled out, and they got lucky, or they played the political game, kept their head down. They don't stick their necks out. They survive the risky assignments, which are commands. They survive them. They get through. Like just get. Let me do my 18 months. Survive this period. And so the system breeds these establishment that live and breathe in this environment that's not the real world, because everyone has to be zero defect and you have to have fewer defects than your peers. So you're polishing your turd to be shinier than the turd from your
big
neighbor.
The zero defect environment is the worst thing that ever happened in the military.
Exactly. You cannot have. The Germans understood this. So the German army between the Prussian influence into 1871. I have the Germans all the way through 1945, and I would argue this has still lived on. There's still a core of this in the Bundeswehr today, even for all the issues the Bundeswehr has. But the German philosophy was we're not gonna have leaders who are willing to, what's all the things like adaptive, creative, responsive, reflexive. Like these are the leaders we want. We want leaders who will seize an advantage and who will exploit an
Adaptive is
opportunity.
probably the most important.
Everyone in the American military is keeping their heads down. We don't want to be adaptive, reflexive.
What has been the strength of the American service member? Look to the people that we fight against or fight with. The strength is that our American service member, when the leader, what's that cliche? When the leader is killed in a European military, everybody digs in and maintains their position and doesn't do anything. They just maintain what they have. In the American military, if the leader is killed, the next guy steps up, the mission is continued, the attack continues. And I feel
in the perfect world,
kind of in a perfect world.
Yeah.
But I feel like that is
we've lost that.
That is a mindset that is very easily broken. And we are, now that we have, and as venal as this might sound, we have an E4 as the vice president. We have a major as the SecDef. I feel like that's an important thing.
Yes.
I feel like that's going to get positive change.
Well, if nothing else, and I hate to go out on like thin ice politically, but if you look at GWAT, you look at the last 20 years, the people who were on paper qualified, right? The qualified people, what have they done? What has it gotten us? It's gotten
I agree. And it's not going out. You don't need it, you don't have to like feel bad about talking about this, because like it's just, it is what it is. Like we've noticed this, and it's like I don't have a side. That's the thing. I've talked about this on streams before. So it's like, it doesn't fucking matter. It's like, but like, okay, I'd rather have a fucking E4 and a fucking O4 running shit than a fucking O6.
Right. What is a general actually qualified to do? Keep their head down and manage.
And make money.
And like Brett said, risk averse.
Exactly.
They're not going to innovate. They're not going to take chances, because that's not how you get your 4 stars.
There you go.
You might be wrong. What happens when you're wrong? Oh shit, we're in a 0 defect environment. I tried something. It didn't work. Now I'm on the street.
Now let's talk to some people who know what to
look
do.
at our previous SecDef, and Senator Mullins, I'm a political junkie, and I'm a conservative. Going to put the cards on the table.
Oh, no way!
But,
I'm not either.
Couldn't tell. That purple hair gave you away.
But Senator Mullins during the Hegseth, and I wasn't sold on him. I viewed him as a news host, and then I looked into like, oh, okay, well he has actually a resume.
You talking about Pete?
Yeah. Hegseth, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, yep.
He's actually from a town about 20 minutes away from you, Mike?
20 minutes from me. Yep. Yeah.
But and Senator Mullins in his response, and it was a minor thing, but in my mind, it's a major point. He didn't hit on it too much, but it's like they took a guy off the board of Raytheon to be SecDef under the previous administration. And then you look at Dick Cheney and all his fucking shenanigans. And Rumsfeld. Yeah. So this isn't a red-blue situation. This is, are you effective or are you making money?
I actually could not have said that better myself. That's fucking awesome. Like, that's what it is. It's like, I don't give a shit if you're this side, that side, whatever. Are you making money off of suffering? Or do you have the best interests of the American people in mind? That's really all I give a fuck about.
Change it back to the Department of War. Take the Band-Aid off. This is what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Right?
We we don't give a shit about Afghani women.
Right.
Our job is to break things and kill people.
Or keep it the Department of Defense and make our military really good at defending our country.
It's if we have one foreign treaty, it's not the Department of Defense.
See, my problem with no,
I get you. I'm just saying in the modern day, it's not the DoD.
No, I can hear you, Jake.
It's just not.
See, my problem with it being called the Department of Defense is that if you call it the Department of Defense, then this is important for national security, so we can use the military on it.
Exactly.
That's important for national security, so we can use the military on it. We're defending ourselves and we're defending our allies. But if we call it the Department of War or the War Department, like it was before 1947,
deployed.
Be like, the Department of War wants to send troops here. Well, why are we going to war? We're not, but it's in the name, Department of War. Anytime
I don't know the answer, to be honest with you. So it's like,
well, it was the War Department until like 1946 or 1947, like right before
48 when the Air Force was created.
Was it 48?
Yeah.
Cool.
I knew it was right around the same time as the Air Force.
Yeah.
The fucking Air Force.
That was also the same time when we were supposed to get rid of warrant officers, and that's why E8s and E9s were created. And then we said, wait a minute, let's keep the warrant officers. So now we have E8s and E9s without a fucking job, and we have warrant officers, except for the Air Force. The Air Force is the only service branch without a warrant officer.
And in the Army, nobody knows what warrant officers do.
They were going to get rid of them. I thought your helicopter pilots were warrants.
They are generally,
they are. The joke is that nobody knows what warrant officers do in the Army because you never see them. Like we all know they exist. They're always like they show up for first formation and they show up for last formation, but nobody sees them any other time of the day, and nobody ever sees them doing any work. The officers don't know how to treat. The officers don't want to treat them like other officers.
Well, because they're not.
But
weird.
They don't treat them like enlisted, and the enlisted want to treat them like officers, but the warrants are like, don't treat us like officers. So everybody's confused.
It's all because of goddamn airplanes.
Hey,
if we
really quick,
the airplanes, we wouldn't have to deal with this.
Really quick, Augie, I have a decent story about how warrant officers work in the Army. Right? We were at Camp Blanding in Florida, right, in 2009.
Okay.
And I had missed our qual for whatever the fuck reason, so I had to go out on a different day. And so I was with a different unit, a bunch of different people that had missed qual. So we're on the bleachers, like they're like, you're gonna be lane, 1, 2, etc. And there's a guy in front of me who's my partner. They're like, you guys are partnered up. And I see gray hair underneath his helmet, and I'm like, hey man, what are you? He turns around, he's a fucking CWO2. Or a warrant officer second class, I'm like, oh, hey, sir. He goes, no, don't do that. Don't do that. It's fine. You just call me my last name. And I said, okay. Shit. So I got to be his shooting partner. And he's like, yeah. And honestly, I'm just going to tell you this. What's your MOS? And I'm like, 11 Bravo. He goes, oh, good. And he goes, because I haven't qualified in like 15 years. I can't qualify the same for life. He's like, can you help? He's like, I'm not making this up. This is I people can verify this. And so he goes, okay, so can you help me qualify this time? Because I need it for my W, whatever the fuck their OER is.
Their board,
yeah. And he's like, I just need this because I kind of want to get 03 or Chief Warrant Officer 3. And I was like, okay, why didn't you qualify? He goes, my eyesight's horse shit. He's like, I shouldn't even be in the fucking Army. And I'm like, okay, Well, we'll go out to this shitty fucking range at Camp Blanding, Florida, right?
Where you can
That
see
range
holes in the 300-meter targets that are
dude. Yeah, that range sucked ass. Anyway,
the only way you could actually knock down the 50-meter targets was by shooting the berm in front of the target and hoping that you kicked up enough rocks to knock the target over.
That's exactly what I fucking told him.
Not fucking kidding.
And so I go first, right? And I'm like, I'm a good shot, right? So I'm like,
Holy fuck.
bam, I got like 37 out of 40.
Ooh.
You know what? 69.
He's showing off. He's showing off those pecs.
So anyway, I get 37. And I'm like, okay, I did my thing. He goes, oh, you are a good shot. I'm like, well, I'm 11 Bravo. We're supposed to be good shots. And then he goes, well, you're gonna have a hell of a time with me. And I was like, all right. So he gets up. He grabs his rifle and he knows how to load it and everything. He's not a dipshit, but like, so he loads his rifle.
He's not like a commander in the Navy?
No, not at all. So he loads his fucking M4. He slaps the fucking thing shut. And I'm sitting next to him, and I'm like, all right, sir. He goes, you don't have to call me sir. I was like, all right. Well, your 50-yard, your left 50 is going to come up first. And he's like, okay, where is that? And I'm like, just go to the left. He goes, oh, I see it. And I'm like, and I said exactly what Jake said. I'm like, shoot below it a little bit so the rocks kick up and fucking knock it down. And so he does, and he gets the first one. He goes, I'll be a son of a bitch. And I'm like, okay, now I get the 150 coming up on the right side. And I'm like, this one, you got to aim down towards the base of it. And I'm like, walking him through it, like really just whatever. He ends up getting like 26 because he was a horse shit shot. Or no, he got 31. That's what he got. He got 31. So he got sharpshooter. And he's like, I've never shot this well in my entire fucking career in the military. And he's like, is there anything I could do for you? And I said, I was like really tired and like really fucking like out of chew at that point. So I was like, actually, sir, there is something you can do for me. He goes, I'm running into cantonment, you know, like the main post on the base. And do you need anything? And I was like, I'll pay you and just give me about 5 logs of grizzly wintergreen, long cut. And he goes, no problem. I'll be back in a bit. And I'm waiting for our boss. That's not going to show up for like another fucking 6 hours. So he goes in with his personal entourage into cantonment. He comes back and he hands me this box, and he goes, "Hey, Private Birch, that was some of the best fucking coaching I've ever gotten, and now I get to wear a sharpshooter badge." And he showed me the sharpshooter badge that he bought.
Oh Jesus!
And I'm like, it was great to meet you, sir. You know, I appreciate it and everything. And he goes, man, he goes, yeah, I hope I'll see you in Iraq. And I did see him in Iraq, which is fun. But like, he was just like, but he bought me like fucking all the grizzly wintergreen that this fucking PX on post had.
Just bought it out.
He bought it out. And I was like, I went to go get cash. He goes, no. Nope. And he slammed it down. He goes, nope, we're good. And he goes, I got sharpshooter. And I was like, okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And he's like, guy, yeah, great. He's like, you know, it's a good day. And he gets in his F-150 with his entourage and like drives off into the sunset. And I'm sitting there with a box of fucking grizzly wintergreen. So
You're just like, awesome.
Oh yeah, I was like, oh my god, this is great. So I go back to the tent, the big circus tent that we had like 500 or 300 guys in. Fucking insane.
2.5 companies.
So,
2.5 companies.
Really quick, and then I'll let you roll. So I get back and I've got this box of grizzly wintergreen for a line infantry company.
Oh, you're the most popular dude on the planet.
Well, they go, what is that? And I'm like, it's nothing. And I just went to my friends first and I went, how many do you want? They're like, holy shit, 5. And I'm like, so I toss them a log. And the other people were like, oh, wait, how much do I owe you? And I'm like, how many do you want? Like, I'm not going to fucking like do the. So they were gone within about 5 minutes, all of them. And they're like, where the fuck did you get this? And I'm like, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. I got it, right? I have dip. We have dip now.
Stop asking questions.
Right, we're all just throwing in fucking giant fucking lips, like, that just fucking going to town because we couldn't get it because it was always sold out, and that was in Florida.
And we weren't allowed to go to the PX anyway.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, so this warrant officer, he actually followed through, like, because I helped him qualify and I helped him get a good score. Because I was literally sitting there going, right 250. All right, here's where you need to actually aim on this thing.
Yeah.
I was doing that whole thing, like walking him through it. He got 31. He's like, I've never qualified this high before. And these targets were fucked.
I have a story about a warrant officer, a newly promoted warrant officer, slapping an E7.
Good, probably deserved it.
Let me grab some more nicotine, but I'm listening.
This is possibly the best story. All right, okay. So I told you guys I joined in '96. I was at Coast Guard Station Gloucester. It was, a very storied unit, a lot of history, blah blah blah. There was a person there. I was a bosun mate. Okay, so I drove boats and I painted things. And
paint chipper, yeah. Paint chipper.
And there, exactly. So there was another dude there that was also a bosun mate that wasn't great at driving the boats. Me and him had some fucking run-ins, but whatever. And the Coast Guard created the operational specialist rate. Because in the early aughts, we got rid of quartermasters and we created a bunch of rates, blah, blah, blah. So this guy, we'll call him Jay. He chose to leave the bosunmate rate and become an operational specialist. An operational specialist is two lies in one. They are not operational and they are not specialists. But whatever, they're part of the team, and we have to love them. They're like stepbrothers. Anyway, time goes on. I spend 17, 18 years in the Coast Guard. I get to my last unit. I didn't know it at the time, but it was my last unit. And there's this guy, Jay. And he's an OS E7. I'm a bosunmate E7. I'm there to be the bosun of the ship. And he's there to run radios and not be good at anything. And
all right, I know the type. Okay.
And we have a cook on board who got promoted. He put in the packet, got promoted to warrant officer, and now he's going to be the financial and supply warrant on the cutter. So he was a cook. He was in charge of all the cooks. Now he's going to be in charge of all the support department, all the logistics and everything like that. But he is not like the hero of the fatherland. He is not great at his job. But he got warrant officer, so we all have to say aye aye. And at the time, I was the most senior E7 on the boat, and this guy Gary was one of the E7s who made warrant. So I gave a little speech about how he had to get his spine removed in order to get to the wardroom in officer country in front of the entire crew.
No,
right?
No.
And right after his promotion ceremony in the fucking Eastern Pacific, as we're doing drug hunting ops, and I was like, and though Chief Gary, what's his name, could not hack it in the chief's mess, there will always be a warm place for him in the wardroom because their standards are non-existent.
And lo, said that?
And lo, though he qualifies for a salute, know that he lacks the spine to do anything with it.
Oh no!
That sort of shit.
What a dickhead! But I respect it. You're up for
And my captain, who's an old school commander at the time, is dying laughing. This is in front of the entire crew.
holy shit.
And so
What a prick. But
I am a dickhead. And so Gary was having a hard time leaving the cheese mess. And it's like, listen, dude, you're in O country. You can't hang out with us anymore. There's a separation. You need to go learn your new rules. And the captain came to us and said, listen, if you could kind of, not shun him, but like guide him to the wardroom because we need him to be there. So now comes in this guy, Jay, who I knew off and on for 20 years, is a nerd in the bad sense. Like Jake, you'll know that Soldanius guy that I had an issue with a while back. He's like that kind of guy. He's very pedantic. He's very not a very good leader.
Well, actually.
Exactly. But this dude's an E7. And in the Navy and the Coast Guard, that's a big thing.
No, you're cheap. Yeah.
Mess,
yeah.
It's
the same thing in the Army. Like you're an E7. Like you don't fuck around with an E7.
Mhm.
So we were able to protect his subordinates. It's a small crew. It's less than we had 110 people, 112 people on the boat. So we were able to protect his subordinates from him because he tried to fuck over a couple of people. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is, Gary, the warrant officer, the new warrant officer, who I had unknowingly made a fool of in front of everybody, and Jay, the E7, who I had known since we were both literally 21-year-olds and was not a very good leader. Now they're squaring off.
Oh, no.
And Gary's trying to get into the cheese mess because he wants to hang out. And Jay, being full of himself and a chief, is literally with his foot kicking the door closed saying, get out of here.
Oh, God. I see where this is going. Okay.
And so Gary pushes the door open, reaches in, and slaps Jay right across the fucking face. We're in the middle of drug ops, right? We are off the fucking western coast of fucking Ecuador. Like we had 2 interceptions in the last week. Everybody's tired. Everybody's fucking working. And here we have the goddamn logistics officer bursting through the chief's mess and slapping the operations chief in the fucking face.
Oof.
And I get there like seconds after it happens because some fucking E3 is like, Chief Augustino, something's going down in the chief's mess. There's a brawl.
We're in a brawl on a fucking Navy ship or a Coast Guard ship, yeah.
And fucking Gary's gone, and I see this guy Jay, who I've known since we're kids.
Yep.
And is a complete shithead. He is the consistency of Play-Doh. He's just gray. He's not a good leader, and he's shaking. And he's red in the face. And he's like, they gave him bars, and he slapped me in the face. And everybody's
That's probably the first time you'd ever been hit in the face, right?
And everybody's looking at me, and they're like, well, you're the senior E7. What are you going to do about it? And I'm like, I don't know. He probably deserved it.
Yeah, like...
And I have to go to Gary and be like, hey, man, you're not allowed in the clubhouse anymore. And this is fucking military leadership. We were senior fucking dudes running a goddamn ship 1,000 miles from nobody, making decisions that impact fucking international relations.
That shit happens all the time. It's like there's things I won't talk about on stream live, but like there's things that happen that I can probably talk to you about off stream, and Jake knows this story.
Yeah.
But yeah, but Brett, how do you handle something like that?
Total frat situation, yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Oh,
I would go
are
to
we
the first sergeant
children?
and say, deal with it.
That
I'm
is such an army
serious.
thing. That is such
The
an army
problem
thing. But
was,
yeah, it's
like,
true.
I
You
was
don't want
effectively,
the
I was the first sergeant at the time, and I wasn't there. I was there seconds after it happened. They're like, "Well, Augie, what are we going to do about this?" And I was like, "It's funny. Jay deserved it, but ultimately, an officer came into the mess and slapped the chief. Like,
Yep.
this ain't right."
Yeah.
So there's got to be something done about it. It's
Yeah.
like, fuck.
Right.
Yeah.
And
And
the
you just
moment
Dawn.
the moment something like that would reach my attention as the commander, it kind of forces my hand. Now I have to
Yeah.
take action. So
Well, and that's the point. It didn't
Yeah.
reach the commander. We dealt with it.
see, that's the best way, because the commander would have literally one choice. What it would, I don't know.
Exactly.
Is it massed in the Coast Guard or Navy?
100%.
It would be it'd be
Article
NJP
15,
or Article 15 UCJ in
NJP,
the
Captain's
Army.
Mess,
But I would have to, because if you're the commander and something like that happens and everyone knows about it, right? And you do nothing, then
You're fucked.
discipline goes all to hell. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, yeah. So I am forced to be the bad guy. And that was like it's so much better to have first sergeant take these knuckleheads aside and go, look, something's obviously got to change, but
Well,
yeah,
and
you don't want it to get to the commander unless it's totally unsalvageable and the hammer needs to be dropped.
I went to the warrant officer afterwards, and I was like, "Listen, the reason this happened is because you have been hiding in the chief's mess when you should be in the wardroom,
Yep.
and
Yep.
Yeah.
we're done. The next time you're in the chief's mess, I am bringing formal charges." And call me a dick, because we had served together as chiefs, as E7s, for like a year before this.
Yeah.
And I was like, call me a dick, call me an asshole, but that's what's going to happen. You're
It's
done.
really
You're out.
rough
You're gone.
when the senior NCOs don't get along. That's probably one of the most
And that was the
damaging
big thing with
things in a
us.
company,
Yeah.
to have the senior NCOs, especially when it goes public and everyone knows, because then the unit will
Yeah.
almost naturally take sides.
So
Well, and the morale
in-
goes way down.
Yeah,
and in the
yeah,
Coast
it's
Guard,
ugly.
you have formal and informal stuff. At the time, we had our electrician. Our chief electrician was the command chief, so he was the captain's representative. He was the quote unquote senior NCO. But at the time, I was the guy with the most time and grade, and so I was chief of the mess. And I was like, listen, Gary, you are an effective guy. You're just starting your life as a warrant officer, and you're already fucking up. You need to let go. And whereas on the flip side, Jason, you are a goddamn child. You don't need to, like. And he was laying down on a couch with his foot, like closing the door in this dude's face. I was like, no, that is childish. People do not need to see their senior
So
leaders.
you're the
acting
mediator
like
in that
this.
situation. Then you're the mediator.
I'm the adult in the room.
Right. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's shitty for like senior leadership.
Because like Brett says, you can argue all you want as senior leaders, whether you're enlisted or officer. You can argue all you want behind closed doors. The
Right.
second the E4s get a whiff of that, or E6s, you're fucking done. Your unit is trash.
Yeah, it's fucked. Yep.
And that cheese mess was awesome, because we had dudes that were subpar, and I'll tell you, Jason was subpar, Gary was subpar, but together we were fucking strong.
Yes.
And we would argue together, and we would be like, no, you're fucking up. This is how you're going to deal with it. This is what the consensus says in our mandate. And this came from our captain, who knew he wasn't going to get promoted to 06 because he didn't have a master's degree. And he's like, listen, and this is where I got my philosophy from. He's like, listen, your job is to argue with me. That's your job. even if you think I'm right, you need to argue with me because I'm out here as the only guy, and you need to be my reality check. And I didn't like the guy, but I had a huge amount of respect for him as a leader.
So Brett, how often in your current position are you able to rather kind of get like what the lower enlisted is talking about?
Oh, in my current position
Yes.
as a support operations officer,
Yeah, but it's still
Almost-
important. Like, it doesn't matter what your fucking MOS is. It really
almost never no. So
doesn't. Really?
you're on the staff of a sustainment unit. It's officer heavy, senior NCO heavy. There are very few junior enlisted in the headquarters company, and you have
really?
if you're senior staff of a sustainment unit, you don't interact with the junior enlisted soldiers in the down trace companies that are in that. That's where all the junior
No
enlisted
shit.
live. They're in the companies. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will almost
Huh.
never. My job now is spreadsheets and PowerPoints and emails and military decision making process, running estimates, anticipating requirements, liaison with the supported units, determining their weapons density, fuel requirements, all, and just brain churning that through to determine the scheme of support. And so very little interface with junior enlisted soldiers. Like
Huh.
walking to the latrines, I'll pass them. And it's like, morning, sir. That's like the extent.
So
I am
in your
so
opinion,
far
would
away
that
from
help
soldiers
you?
now.
Do you think that would help to like have a huddle, like or no at your level?
I think the where junior enlisted soldiers live in the army is at the company level. You have a handful of them smattering battalion, brigade, division, like here and there, smattering in the headquarters, but like the vast majority of them are in the company. It's much better for the company grade leadership, those lieutenants, the captain, the first sergeant. That's where the interface should be taking place. An E3 and an E4 in a quartermaster unit don't even they could tell you who the SPO is at the CSSB or at the sustainment brigade. They have no idea who the major or the lieutenant colonel is.
So
running
there's a
the
disconnect
SPO.
on both ends.
It's not necessarily
hearing.
a disconnect because just the nature of my unique position I'm in now. So it's a staff position.
Yeah.
So it's not a command position. Now, if I was the battalion commander, maybe the battalion XO, definitely the battalion command sergeant major. They're the ones who's just by virtue of their duty position might have more of a like try to get in touch and understand what the junior enlisted thoughts are. The problem,
They're
in
not
my
going to tell you their actual
experience,
thoughts, though.
no,
like,
they're not.
They're not
10
always
years
correct
as
either.
Yeah, they're
right.
not always
That's
correct.
what I was going to say. 10 years
Yep.
as a company commander. Every year we do something called a command climate survey,
Mhm.
and as a company commander, I honestly tried. I really did try. Like reading what soldiers would say about you. Like if you're having a good day and you want to be depressed, go read the comments your soldiers wrote in the last command climate survey because they are utterly just heart-wrenching, and it's disappointing to me to read that. But it also was a moment of self-reflective awareness of this is what some of the soldiers think about me. They're thinking the motives, the reason I made a decision. They're saying he did it for this and for such and such, and in reality, they have no clue what they're talking about. Let's be honest. Most of the time, they're ranting about something they didn't have a clue about, or they didn't understand the context behind my decision. But what that told me was, and this is where, especially with like young millennials and Gen Z, they just like to know. If you take 5 minutes and explain it to them, like, this is gonna suck. This is gonna be a load of bullshit. I sympathize with you. This is why I'm asking you to do this, because this is the reason why, for this and for this. And if they kind of understand the why, other than shut up and do it because I said so, or
Right.
do it without being told any reason, then you get a lot more buy-in. And that was what I learned when at the company level working with, and it's because I used to be an E4 too, where you're like,
Sometimes shut up and do it is an appropriate answer. You know what?
it
Shut up and
is.
do it. I'll tell you later.
Sometimes it is.
Later has
and
to
like
happen though.
there's no
100%.
time to tell someone like, hey, take that hill, is an order that you just have to trust that whoever's giving that order has a reason. There's no time to explain. It's like, you need to take that hill because if you don't take it in the next 30 minutes, the enemy is going to occupy it and they're going to put crew serve weapons up there and we're going to be in the beaten zone of fire. We have to take it right now. There's no time to explain that. It's take that hill.
Yeah.
But if you do have the time, if you have the opportunity to at least give some additional, like, this is why, especially if it's something that sucks. If it's something
that did help me. Like when I was in and when Jake was in, it's like, if you've got 5 minutes to just explain the point, the goal of like why we're doing this, instead of just doing the get it fucking, which is what we're used to at that point, like 09 and all that shit. Just do it, get it fucking done. Okay, fine. But if there was the opportunity, like it made it, I don't know, not better, but like it made it more clear.
Understandable.
right.
It made it
It was like- it was more-
tolerable.
Yeah, it was like more. It's like, oh, so this is why we're actually doing this.
Well,
Okay.
there's a good example. If I could give one, my battery's about to die, so I
know, we're
made
about
it 3.5 hours. It's done better than it normally does. But on this last deployment, the Kuwaiti army made a decision, and they told me. So I'm running the border crossing at Kabari Crossing, the border crossing between Iraq and Kuwait.
Yep.
The Kuwaitis, who are the host nation, and we have to kiss their ass and do what they bend over 3 bags full, sir, whenever ridiculousness they come up with that day, is the rules we have to play by. And if we don't play by the rules, they shut down the border, which means no supplies are going to Iraq and nothing from Iraq is coming back. Like, everything, land movement stops, and the Kuwaitis would shut down the border if they didn't feel like we were doing. They came down and said, from now on, every single truck that passes through this border must be escorted by an American Army Humvee.
Jesus.
So what that meant, I had to do, and of course, I pushed back hard on this up my chain of command. I'm telling the BC, and the BC totally agreed with me. I'm like, sir, I've only got like 20 guys here, and they're all tasked out running this crossing. If I have to pull 8 soldiers out and have them driving Humvees back and forth all day, and then constantly going for fuel, and the Humvees are constantly going to be breaking down. It's 190 degrees
And also,
out
are
here.
they
I mean,
combat arms? Are they combat
Yeah.
arms?
Of course, no. These are all
So
transportation
there's another question.
soldiers.
Yeah, it's like what
Yeah.
the fuck, man?
But we're one at a time. We're escorting these trucks, so it means that I got to pull 8 people basically off the job. So out of the 20 people I have, the 12 have to work twice as hard, and then the 8 driving the Humvees are now. And so they got to fuel them early in the morning. It means their days are longer. Everyone's got longer, shittier days, baking your brains in a gravel lot. It's 126 degrees outside.
Right.
I
And
worked
now
the
they're
Safwan
working
crossing.
harder. It's similar to Safwan Crossing. It's just out in the desert though. We moved the crossing from Safwan to Kabari to get away from all the eyes.
I worked
everyone can see everything going through Safwan.
Yeah, I worked the Safwan crossing in 2006, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just the Kuwaitis would just they think it's a good idea for some reason. And every time they come up with this, then we'll push back politely, and then the Kuwaitis eventually will change their mind. So it's never permanent. And it's just so, but this is the game we have to play. It's stupid. I think it's stupid. My battalion commander thinks it's stupid. The brigade commander thinks it's stupid. Division thinks it's stupid. Corps thinks it's stupid. The entire U.S. Army CENTCOM thinks it's stupid. But we have to do it because otherwise the Kuwaitis, if we don't follow their rules, they will close the border.
And the E4s and the E3s see that, and they fucking say, "I'm out. I'm not doing this anymore."
There you go.
Right. But
You know,
if you
they
didn't
see that.
explain to them, if you just said, "Hey, this is what we're doing now," they don't. And being able to explain the context to them, like, here is why. It says the number one priority we have to have here is keep this border crossing open. Because everyone up north, who at the time is being mortared and rocketed and droned constantly, like, we are their ground line of communication. We're the only ground line of communication into Iraq and Syria. Everything, all their chow, freezer, reefer trucks of food every day going up through here. That's their chow. If we fuck this up here, your brothers up north who are being rocketed and mortared every day are going to be eating MREs instead of fresh chow. So the least thing we can do is suck it up down here where we're not getting mortared and rocketed every day, and we get to go back and eat at the chow hall. We got to do this, and I know it sucks. And so me and my first sergeant drove Humvees to escort these trucks at one point. Because and I told the VC, he's like, "How come you're not in your office?" I'm like, "Sir, I don't have the people."
When your command is dysfunctional,
yeah,
you figure it the fuck out.
You have a major and a first sergeant driving a Humvee.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, it's
but
good
if the soldiers didn't know the reason for that, they would the takeaway. And if I was an E4 being told this, like, this is the most stupidest thing on earth.
Yep.
And it was. If you had no context to understand, it's stupid, but we are technically guests of another country. And when that other country says this is the rules we're telling you to play by,
it doesn't take much to keep the E4s and below happy. You have to be honest and open.
Yeah, it does.
No, it really
doesn't. Unwinnable battle.
If you want them to do the mission without complaining, without complaining too much, you have to tell them what the purpose of the mission is.
Yes.
You can't just tell them monkey see, monkey fucking do. You have to explain to them what the further purpose of this is. It's the same issue it's the same issue that I have with my employer in the civilian world right now, because all I get is my fucking marching orders every day. I don't get to see where I fit into the bigger picture. And it's like, why are you giving me this shit fucking day where I'm going to drive 400 miles in a fucking blizzard? It's like, do you have nothing shorter? Do you have no other drivers available that can help, that can cover down on this? Why do I have to drive across the fucking state in a fucking blizzard to drive around over there to drive home?
Well, and it's just like what you were saying is like, so Brett, this is true. Like, you can placate a bit the E4s and below by just saying why we're doing what we're doing.
Just have a logical mission.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Missions are rarely logical, especially in GWAT. Nothing's logical.
Even if it's not logical, you have to be open and honest. You have to tell them that you understand that it doesn't look like it makes sense.
Exactly.
And this is why we have to do it, because this is the orders that we're getting from the Kuwaitis.
And you did sign up and you said, I will place the mission first, right?
Yep.
In the Army. Right. I will always place the mission first. Okay. But if you explain it a little bit further, you don't have to agree with the mission, but you're going, oh, motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
it's an excuse for bad leadership. Just do what I tell you.
That is exactly fucking what it is.
Yeah.
And literally all you
And
in
I tell my wife all the time because my wife is a more liberal minded person from an honest point of view. Like, she grew up in Maine. You know, her dad was this guy who loved folk music, who had an aquaculture farm, who was like a cool dude. And my wife is like she just asked me tonight, like, why do they give medals for being shot? Like, it's war. What?
Yeah.
Like, isn't
Yeah.
that supposed to happen? It's like,
That's a
no,
whole
no.
conversation.
And
Yeah.
she's not being a dick about it. Like
No. I get that. Yeah.
and I was like, well, you know, it's not for cowardice or anything like that. It's because you went to war, you got shot by the enemy. Like, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
because it actually doesn't happen that much.
Well, and that's what I don't know how to like express is like, it's not a common thing, but you look anyway. That's a different conversation.
I guess really quick, Augie, like awards in general. We've talked about this on streams before. Like the award system is so we're all we all joined it buying into the fact that, hey, we do a good job, we get an award. It's a gold star theory, right?
Yeah.
It's like, if you do what you're supposed to do, the Purple Heart is earned. It's the only medal in the United States military that's earned and not put in for, right?
Exactly.
And
it's
so
very black and white. This has happened.
But if we're talking about like, yeah, exactly. It's a binary. It's not fucking. There's okay. So the other awards have been diluted through the decades, and
look how many bronze stars we gave out for staff officers on the FOB.
Well,
do you have a bronze star?
E7 and above.
Yeah.
Brett, do you have a bronze star?
I was recommended for the Bronze Star. It was downgraded, and I'm glad it was, because I was an officer on a FOB.
But because of your rank at the time, like, you were recommended for a Bronze Star. So
as a first lieutenant,
got a Bronze Star.
Well, okay, I know certain people who deserved probably some of the highest awards, and like the whole thing is like, my wife doesn't get it either. She doesn't get the awards thing. Like, how we're so fucking just set on it and like pissed off about it.
It's impossible to describe. Like,
yeah,
like I tried to describe. I was thinking in my head. I'm like, how do I put all the nuance? You know, to use Jake's thing. How do I put all of this into a sentence? And I was just, and literally what I said, I was like, it's not given for cowardice. That's all I had.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's really no way to explain it, because like they really don't matter. So like, we all like, okay, we're all sitting here in civvies right now. Like, we're all just chilling out, having fun.
Very comfortable, very secure.
A little piece of metal. Who the fuck's going to give a shit about that except us, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like, but we're led to believe that's
a documentation of our service.
Oh, you actually got your ribbon rack. Nice.
Yeah, it's been sitting here on my desk since the last time I showed it to you.
It is.
No, I like that though.
The biggest
it's basically our resume
satisfaction of my career, like lives saved, you know, operations done, aren't reflected in my ribbon rack. Like, the best rescue of my career, I was almost Article 15 for.
That's a good rescue then.
Yeah, like, you know, in order to be great, you have to break the rules. The military's they're not gonna pat you on the back for that.
Well, it's got to be extraordinary.
They're going to say, listen, we get it, we understand, but we're not awarding you for this because we don't want some jackass with half your skill trying to do the same thing.
Right, which is bullshit, because you earned it. You either earned it or you didn't. You know,
I've got 3 medals that I think that I earned. The first one is my AAM, because I earned that for doing all the preventative maintenance and all the shit on my first deployment when I was a driver, QRF driver. You know, my truck was always ready to go. I was always taking it to the shop in between missions and getting it fixed whenever there was anything wrong with it. You know, I spent probably a half an hour at the beginning of every QRF shift going over my truck from one end to the other with a fine-tooth comb, making
My
sure he was ready to go.
my proudest medal is the negative page 7 I got, which is administrative remarks. My proudest moment is when I got written up for saving 3 fishing boats in a storm. Because the vessel that I was operating was not certified for those wave conditions. And they were like,
Ooh.
That's how you do it. That's how you do
and
it.
I was
though.
like, well, I shouldn't have, but that was the deal.
well,
but
there's
the
a
other
lot of people like that who have done
The other two are my ICM, obviously, my Iraq campaign medal, and my humanitarian service medal.
Yep, that's a really cool one that you have. Can you show that again? Can you show your ribbon rack again?
Yeah,
And
it's
point that one out for people who don't know.
this one.
Yeah, that one. That's
right
a really
under
tough
the
one to get.
ICM here. Humanitarian service is right below it.
Yep.
And you probably saved the most lives in your career doing that one.
No, that was just for the cleanup after Hurricane Katrina.
There you go.
We were in southern Mississippi for pre-mob before my first deployment when Katrina hit. We were at Camp Shelby, Mississippi.
The only medal that I actually care about is we've told us before, but is the ICM as well with the star on it.
Yeah.
And
The
it's like
campaign
that.
star.
And then the CIB that
you should have gotten.
Well, I might work on it, I might not. It doesn't matter. But but the ICM is the only one out of 8 that I have that I give a shit about. It's well, whatever.
I got my ARCOM. I got an ARCOM. I don't know how I got an
participation
ARCOM.
trophy.
But I got an ARCOM.
Trophy.
Here's the thing. I got the ARCOM after an Article 15.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I got.
Dude, you are not an actual infantryman unless you have an Article 15 under your belt.
Yeah, I guess you're not an actual infantryman then, Mike.
I got.
You never did you get articled?
No, it just means he's smart enough not to get caught.
Jake, you know this story. Why are you fucking doing this?
We could knock one out real quick. I mean, I'll just go get the forms.
Well, Brett, do you want to hear a funny story? I've made a video on this, but it's for members, I guess.
I'll be right back.
I didn't think that you had actually gotten articled. I thought you were threatened with one.
No, I got an Article 15. 2 days into reception.
That one, yeah. Yep, I remember that one now.
Well, I got nailed, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
so you got yours right away. I had to wait until the very end of my career before I got mine.
Whatever. It's a different end of the pie. Doesn't matter.
It's a different end of the turd.
Yeah. God damn these fucking animals. Brett, do you want to hear that story and then you can take off?
Yeah, I already heard your reception Article 15.
Okay, you did. So that's fine. Yeah. Because that
yeah,
my
I
dog's
think that was last time or time before last. I don't remember.
Well, we've been on for almost 4 hours.
Yeah, I got 3% battery. So
all right, yeah. Well, we'll just end it then. And then we can talk with Augie for a bit about some things that we don't want to say on stream.
What should the secret code word be?
What do you think, Brett? Hey, Brett, why is the sky blue?
Because God loves the infantry.
Augie, what should the secret code word for the end of the stream be? I don't know if Augie understands what this is about.
Well, Brendan said Article 15. I think that's a good one.
We've done Article 15 before.
Have we?
What about Chief's mess slap?
What the fuck? That's too long.
Okay, I'll tell you guys.
No. We're about to get off the fucking live stream, so we can talk about this shit.
No. I hear you. I'll say to you what a biker bar said to us when a member tried to steal somebody's girlfriend. Thanks for your service. Now get the fuck out.
I mean, it works.
Chief slap. I mean that works.
Chief
Andrew
slap.
Schultz.
Or
Chief
black
slap.
wiener.
Okay, what the fuck's it gonna be?
Chief slap or black wiener, because Brett and Augie are both guests.
Brett has a
Uh,
lot more fucking credibility than I do.
No, he doesn't.
Black wiener?
Yes,
Guys,
I'm a
I
big
just
deal.
didn't
aren't
get
we?
caught for 20 years. This dude's
slap.
actually an officer. Like,
Yeah,
Chief
chief slap. Because that was hilarious.
they give
Yep,
you bars,
I agree.
and you think you can slap my face? This is great.
All right,
Just
we'll just go.
shitty seven.
We'll just go chief slap. That's gonna be the fucking thing. So we can just because I have to take another monstrous piss.
Of course
I'm
you
drinking
do.
Mexican Sprite. So
I don't know who's hung on for almost 4 hours here.
a lot of people.
2% battery.
All right.
We need to get you a
Alright.
computer
Yeah,
with a webcam.
I got a computer.
Yeah,
just
you know,
doesn't
we'll
have a
get him.
camera.
We'll get him one of those computers that my wife knows about, and we'll get him one of those cameras that hooks onto it, and we'll get him on here. And you know, when I was governor of Minnesota, you know, we had that all the time. I didn't know how to use it, but I actually did.
If we
I
get
had-
him a webcam, he's just going to get an OnlyFans account.
What the
That's
fuck's wrong with that?
So hot.
Yeah, well, you know, the Carcano's definitely an Italian piece of shit.
It's not gay if you're underway, and it's not queer at the pier.
Oof. Not great. All right,
What are you
guys.
talking
Thanks for
about?
watching. Thanks for watching so
Good
much.
night, guys.
The fucking the term is chief slap. If you watch this expose effect.
Slap.
Oh, dude, so much trouble.
All right. Thanks so much for watching, guys.
Love you.
Right.